Welcome to Timelines, episode 163, January 2nd, 2016. A new year to start. Today on Timelines, we have in 216, we're starting out with 216 with Kim Shivler, returning to us for the, I'm going to restart that one because I'm going to cut that out. Today on Timelines. Okay. Today on Timelines, we start 216 with Kim Shivler, returning to the show. Kim uses her experience in education and technology to help businesses and individuals to build online courses with membership websites. We're going to start this episode by asking Kim three new questions. Basically, I don't want to go into this real detail, but the new show for the normal new interviewees, we're going to ask who, what, and why. And I sort of like to ask you that real fast in a few minutes. Who are you? What do you do? I don't think you need to say who you are. People know who you are in this show. You can say who you are, though, for the newbies. But who, what, and why? Who are you? What do you do, and why?
All right. Are you going to ask each of those individually, or you want me to just go?
Who are you, Kim? This is the first of the year.
It's the first of the year. All right, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Kim Shivler. I have been a tech trainer and writer for over 20 years. I am an accidental technologist. So for those of you, if you are a little bit more of a beginner, a lot of times people who are beginners, or they still want a little hand-holding, or they don't want engineers talking over their head, they tend to find me as their go-to person, because I didn't start out as a technologist. I started out as an English major and a writer, and I was going to go become a teacher for a short term on my way to law school. And I found out that I could get math credit for programming. And I was one of those girls who'd do anything to get out of calculus. So I started programming and I loved it. I did go ahead and become an English teacher. And as I was taking the LSATs to go to law school, I got sucked into technology because I had kept up with technology after programming. And I was learning, I was like the teacher building grading programs and things like that. So I went into corporate America teaching and writing about technology. And that was 1990. So I've been doing it in one way or another ever since. I've also been a longtime business owner, and I now take that tech training, the education experience. I've been building online courses for several years, and that's my focus now, is teaching people and helping businesses build online courses, deliver them from everything from content creation all the way through the technical delivery side.
That's
me.
The who and the what.
That's the who and the what.
Why do you do it? Why did you leave like where you were in academia, which is high level, and move? One last thing. I sent a little email to a couple of my friends yesterday, and I found this, I said tech whiz. I said, you guys are my tech whizzes. And you were one of them. I'm pretty sure it got that little email. And I looked up tech whiz, and it was really neat definition, but it was basically said normally considered slang in self-training computers. It's kind of weird. I mean, it wasn't tech whiz, it's something. But you're well educated in the academia with your master's and being an educator and teacher, and you've transitioned over into this new media digital world.
Yeah, I have. But I think for me, why do I do this from the digital side? It was a natural progression when I was teaching technology back in the 90s. And of course, the internet has technically been out since the 60s as far as a bridgeway, but the World Wide Web wasn't there till the mid 90s. So teaching in corporations as the World Wide Web came out, just moving into the online was just a no-brainer for me. It was right there. I started coding HTML in 1995, early 1996. We were building help files for Unix systems. I was a system administrator at the time, as well as being an instructor. And so I learned HTML. So I built my first web development company in 1996. So it just made sense. As we got where, people didn't have dial-up, and now we've got these streaming technologies, and we had video and webinars even before this, that for me is no-brainer, because basically I'm a big ham. And the thought that I could have a TV show and these webinars and all without actually having to go deal with a station somewhere was just exciting and fun.
So driving on right now, I'm going to go back. I want to catch real fast because you're the last show of the 215, 216. We'll get you in here in a second. So looking back, what happened last year and what's going to happen in 216?
So last year was a very focused rebuilding year for me, in the sense that for the last 14 months, I had allowed my business back in from 2012 up to the end of 2014. I let my business get way too fragmented. So as much as I was doing teaching and building my online courses, someone would call and say, "Oh, but couldn't you just build a website for me? Please, I'll pay you." And I would go down these little rabbit holes that, frankly, if I'm really honest, didn't do the customer any good or me any good, because it wasn't allowing me to focus my business and really do, one, what I wanted to do, and two, be able to reach the most people, help the most people with a targeted business plan. And so we committed, and when I say we, I mean my family, we committed at the end of 2014 that that's what I would do. In 2015, I would wean myself off the clients. Obviously I wasn't going to just say, "All right, I'm done. We're halfway through your project, but I'm giving up." So I weaned myself off those, focused on the online courses, focused on the membership sites, started speaking, going to meetups. I spoke at 2 word camps, and just started really laser focusing on that and building that side of the business. And as we come into 2016, it's taken off, and I'm so excited about what 2016 is going to bring, both for my business, in that I have targeted it and been able to really work on it, but also in that 2016, folks, my prediction is going to be the year of the online course. I mean, this is going to be as prevalent for people as an opt-in PDF has been for the last 10 years. Yeah. That's where the industry is going.
Now, prior to 9/11, during that cycle, I used to deal with some folks. We'd send out CDs once a month, or this group, on education and knowledge and training for real estate. And then 9/11 hit, I went away, I did things, came back 5 years later. We're going to do it again. But we found this podcasting and netcasting, all these things that are evolving so fast. And I'll tell you what, in 2 years, what we're doing here has changed tremendously. It's hard to keep up with it.
Oh, yeah.
What we're doing now. So, online is definitely the next thing. Podcasting is going crazy right now. There's 1,000 new podcasts. This is Todd Cochran from Blueberry, who's like one of the top 3 in podcasting. He runs a server provider for RSS feeds. 1,000 new podcasts a week right now.
That's amazing.
Coming up. Amazing. So this whole world is changing fast. Mm-hmm. That is really good. Now, we sort of in the show, and anything that's basically the back and the front of it. I want to try to get to the new format, and we're going to talk about tech. We've been talking about 8 minutes now as we lead in. The back side, let's see how, first of all, on the tech side with what you do, mm-hmm. Who exactly is your client? Who are you targeting to buy your courses, get your training, speak in front of?
My client is predominantly business owners who want to build their own courses.
Bingo.
And that's them. Now they're split between, some of them want to have their own WordPress site, maybe their own membership site, and run it all from their own. They want that control. And some of them are like, "Kim, I don't want another tech thing in my system. I don't want to deal with it. I want a third-party way to generate that." And so I actually work with both of those. Perhaps I should niche that a little more. I don't know. But for me right now, it's working really well to have both options for people, because then what I can do with them is focus on, let's build a great course. Let's build great content, because that's one thing. Just like in the days of PDFs, right? The first couple years where people were giving PDF free downloads, a cruddy PDF, cut it. Not anymore. We really need to look good. And as courses evolve and more people have them out there, the quality requirements are going to bump up, and we're really seeing that with podcasts. Since you mentioned the podcasts, when podcasting first came out, you could have crappy audio and things like that. Now people just delete and go on to the next one if your audio stinks.
Well, one thing I'm going to say is I still have decent audio, but my audio is not as good as it used to be, because I'm going ahead with focusing on Blab. And Blab audio is not bad, but I can get better audio from a Skype interview and better video. But I want this platform, the UI is so easy that it's the best place for people to start in this environment. And that's why I wanted to start here.
It's still pretty good, though. Blabs is still pretty good. and it's consistent. The one challenge with Skype is you could get really good, but sometimes you'd have that guy on the other end and, maybe not always as good as it could have been.
I've got some other tools that are like Skype now that are really good, but they're just audio and they're really, really good, really easy. You just send it off to them. They open it up and they speak. But I'm sort of really tailoring down my content. So during the week, we're shooting at least 2 shows locally in Reno from top-notch folks. And I send my wife out with a computer and the microphone and do it that way so I know I have good sound. And then coach them a little bit, like being back from the microphone so I'm not listening to the breathing. There's an art. You learn how to do this. It takes a few shots, but you can, if you have a coach there, you can train somebody. But anyway, it's going to change. Let's come back and talk about tech and what the future is and learning management systems in tech, and more about your clients and what they need to know. And by the way, I really like what you said, and I've gone the same direction. My New Year's resolution, I'm going to say mine real fast, what I'm doing. I have a meetup group here of over 600 people of entrepreneurs. And I was trying from every day, not every day, every Wednesday after one MC we'd meet. And what I found when that 600 people, I'm finding too many network marketers instead of the targeted people I want, which are business people running business. They're too busy running businesses. And that's one of my clients is the businesses, even from casinos and nonprofits. So I'm going to shut that down. I'm going to shut that meetup group down, like some of the folks in it, but I'm going to either pass it off or I'm not going to be involved with it because I need to spend more time behind the computer, believe it or not. Also, I have 125, this is a little bit better group, a WordPress meetup for business. And I've done that for a year now, so I got credit for that. But I'm going to combine that with a normal WordPress meetup of just normal folks, and we'll do both. We meet once a week and let someone else run it. Because it's a lot of work running those local meetups.
It is. I've thought about it, but I don't think I have the bandwidth. The
problem is it's not, you can't duplicate it well across the platform, and it's not scalable. This is scalable, what we're doing here. So everything I do, I focus the scalability. And for the first time, I'm actually looking at, target pricing for my clients, because there's a lot of business people who want to know what we're doing and how we do it and how to apply it. And I think that's my target now. My initial target, Netcasting 101 can be from the hobbyist as well as the business person. It's the intro course, which, by the way, I failed at that this year. I didn't get that up by the first. We'll talk about that when we come back from a break, I guess, because we'll talk about why I failed. Hey, folks, we're back off the break, and it's going to be an interesting 10 minutes coming up, or 15 minutes in the next portion. But if you're at home and you go to timelinesofsuccess.com or Netcasting 101, look down at this episode, go expanded, go into the blab, look at the notes on the side. There's all sorts of great links. I just put the affiliate links and some of the things we're talking about. So what we're going to do this next portion, we're going to talk all about tech and how learning management systems are affecting tech and what Kim is looking at. And then I want to go in and talk a little bit about, if we get a chance, we'll talk about the platforms for your website that Kim would recommend. So first question, three questions. What's happening in this digital management systems and with business? 2 is, what are the steps to get going in digital learning? If you were to go through that process, I've been doing that for a while, and I'm not the guy to ask how to do a digital learning class or system or management or anything, because I'm going through it, but it's tough. There's so many different things. There's too many decisions to make. A lot of stuff to talk about, Kim.
Yes, there are. Okay, so there are a lot of decisions to make. And one of them, just to kind of back up a little, it ties into when you had asked me before the break, where do you start? Do you start with the content? Do you start figuring out your delivery system? What do you pick for your delivery system? And what I tend to tell people is that a lot there depends on where they are in the process right now. And for example, I am big on planning. Those of you who know me know I'm really, really big on planning. Some of my students hate that because they just want to jump in and let's just jump in and put in a plugin and get started. And, there's not one plugin that's right for everybody. There's not one solution that's right for everybody. So I like to work with people to plan and say, what are your needs? Who is your audience? How are we going to deliver this? And then we figure out where to start and what to start with. Yes, if you're stuck with something, you can always start with content if you know what your course is. But what if you're someone who, I think I want to teach this, but maybe I actually want to teach that. I'm not sure. You might need to actually start with your target audience and go out and pre-sell something to make sure you're starting with the right content at all. I don't want you to come take my class, spend 100 hours, 200 hours building this class and find out that was not what your audience wanted. I want you to come and know it's something they're going to sell. So a lot depends on where you are in the process. One of my students from the early adopter program we did in the fall, she already has her content. She is a live instructor for project management certification. So she's got the content and she teaches these seminars each, I think 2 months, 3 months. And so she already has that piece. What we have to do with hers is figure out, one, how to translate it to an online delivery format. Because one thing, if any of you guys are live classroom instructors at any level, that does not translate one-to-one to an online course, because you can't get the vibes from your students to find out if they've just glazed over and you've lost them. And there's not a one-to-one tie for how we respond to things when we're just audio, video versus when we're live face-to-face. So it really is one of those, we need to look at each person's situation on where they want to start and what they need, and then we put together a plan for them to get the best course out there, make the best money, etc.
Yeah, that's I mean, you said a lot there. There's so much if you break it down. So, like, okay, I want to start an online course. I know what I want to. I know what the content is because I've had a lot of expertise in that area, and I know a little bit about WordPress. How much do you have to know about WordPress to start an online course?
Well, if you don't want to do it in a WordPress website, you don't have to know anything about WordPress. So say that you have a WordPress website and you're thinking, yeah, I think I would like to put in a learning management system into my site. Bonus there is I have the most control over how it is put, etc. And welcome Dagmar Gattel and Karen Pelt, who have joined us. And I don't have to, I have all of this. I know I want that control. I want my own membership site, etc. Then we start with that. If it's a case of either I don't have a website yet, but I know I want to build a course, now maybe we just start looking at a third-party solution while they're getting their website going. Or maybe someone has a Wix site and they're going to, they want to move to WordPress, but right now they know that they've got this course that people are interested in. Let's use a third-party solution. And the benefits there are you don't have to install it. You don't have to manage it, etc. And if you choose to use Udemy, you also get to play in their marketplace. So that's a way where if maybe you don't have a lot of traffic yet, maybe you don't have an established audience or a very small audience, creating a Udemy course where you get to play in their marketplace and people get to see you might be very beneficial to help you build your audience.
Okay, I built this content and I want to put some of it up on Udemy, but my main target is going to be my own WordPress site with my own plugin, which if you're doing evergreen and PDFs, which I know you don't like, but I'm leaning that way for my target product because I like to go back and listen and then come back, go back and forth. I don't like to make a live time slot unless I want to go back and ask questions, maybe study during the week and then ask questions at some time on the weekend or once a week. I don't mind that. But on Udemy, how much will they let you? If you take the content you put up on Udemy, you take that exact content. I'm not sure you can take that exact content and put it up on your own site.
You can't take the exact. You would have to and would want to change it to some level. So what a lot of people, and you have to be very careful of their rules. You can't just put something up on Udemy and then just say to everyone, hey, come to my site for everything else. You have to be very careful within their rules on that. But what a lot of people do is they will hold one course out there. People still, even though you're not advertising it, they come look you up. They come find you. They can see other things on your site. So there's the option there. Now, just to back up, though, what you said of PDFs versus having to be there live, an automated online course does not require you to be there live. Now, I personally usually do courses that have at least a certain amount of live webinars or live Q&As. but it's not required. So you can build an online course that's pick any of the learning management systems that I teach, Sensei or WP Courseware, LearnDash, any of these. And I can fully automate it I've got video and or audio. I've got a PDF still. I always say you need to give people the text instructions also. Otherwise, it's the difference between a cooking show and actually a cooking class, where you end up with, I can watch it, but then I need the written recipe to truly take it and apply it and learn it. And then you can integrate courses and quizzes and interaction. Because otherwise, there's nothing wrong with PDFs, but really what you're selling someone there is a book, not a true interactive course. But interactive courses, as I said, doesn't mean you have to be live online with them all the time.
Right. On your, I see what your point is. You got your digital media where you're watching maybe checklists. Now producing that video audio, what are you using? Are you using what platforms? And how long does it take to learn some of those platforms like ScreenFlow?
Well, I do teach them in some of my classes. And it depends on what you're trying to do. As far as ScreenFlow, if you're doing screencasting and you have a Mac, that's the one thing with ScreenFlow, it's Mac-based. I can teach you most ScreenFlow basics in just a couple hours. It's really incredibly simple. And the same if you're on a PC and you want to use Camtasia. Now, the difference is Camtasia is very simple to learn, just like ScreenFlow. It's just expensive on a Windows machine. On the Mac machine, it's not expensive because they're trying to compete with ScreenFlow. I believe that's the reason. But I believe the Windows machine one is about $300 to $400 as opposed to $99. But the learning curve is not much at all. As far as video, other types of video, if you want to go high end and a little bit harder to learn, you've got the Adobe products. And I am going to be doing a series on those. I pay the $59 a month to have access to all of them because I use them throughout all parts of my business. And as long as I'm paying for that anyway, for Photoshop and InDesign and the other things I use, I might as well take access to some of the best products out there. But you don't have to do that. I do also cover things that are less expensive for both Windows and Mac. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to hire out a studio for $5,000 anymore and have a professional, actually video you. Our phones are amazing now for video. And then if you get to where you want a little bit more, I did invest this year in a professional DSLR Canon camera that, in fact, the guy who was the videographer, one of the videographers and the guy who was doing the photography at WordCamp US, he had the next level down from what I just bought for less than $1,500. So when you get to that point, you can now go to that level of super professional, but you don't have to. Right now I don't even have my Logitech webcam up because I had a problem with it. This is just my Mac camera and, $150 in lights.
Right. It's, lights aren't much. The whole light package, I have a $50 light package in that list. And that's what I recommend you start. I've even got some new little lights. I'm playing with stuff too. Yeah, the cost has come way down. For a couple $100, you can set up a pretty good studio.
Yeah, you can.
Some good sound. And you're using the ATR 2100, and you've learned to speak. It takes some time to learn how to understand the best practices to speak.
The challenge with the 2100 is if you're far enough back like this to where you don't get any pops or as many pops, you don't get as rich a sound. That is one challenge with it. If you could learn to speak without pops, or if I could learn something a little better to run it through, you really do get a richer content. But yeah, I've had to step back and sacrifice richness for not popping into people's ears. So yes, Dagmar, good is the new perfect. I say done is the new
move up and then move back because I don't want to hear your breathing. And it takes me a long time to edit when I've got a breather.
Yeah.
And there's some automatic systems and they'll ruin the sound. So that's why sound varies so much. Dr. Hernandez was using ATR 2100, had the best sound about 2 or 3 shows ago. And he's using a Chromebook, which is great.
Wow.
This is a novice out there in technology, and we've brought him through the process, and he's doing great. So that's good. Let's go to our final break. So, Kim, we're coming back after the break, and the folks on the break, by the way, will have inserted a commercial for oils. Let's see, share the oils in Northern Nevada, and I'll put the real estate commercial in. I always say that, then I'll edit that out for iTunes, but I'll leave it on for YouTube. YouTube is just out there. I don't promote, don't look at YouTube, but it's nice as people come and watch us and see what we look like, to know, like, and trust. Most people will listen to this on iTunes. That's why I focus so hard on iTunes. So as we finish up the last 7 or 8 minutes, I always want to say I always give you a little commercial. Give the listener the easiest way for them to contact you, Kim.
Best way to contact me is either at howtobuildanonlinecourse.com or whiteglovewebtraining.com, where I teach you how to build online courses from content creation to delivery.
Very good. And as we finish up, there is just so much, and you have to get into your course to really get through it. How long from start to finish? Let's say I'm not really too computer literate. I got a Mac. I can use Gmail. I can use a few things, but I want to start from my little company. I want to start an online course so I can train my employees. How long is it going to take me? How do I do it?
So the first thing I would say is, do you have your content at all? If you're already running a business, you probably know what you want to say to them, right? You're not truly going, God, I don't know anything.
Systems. I have like a handful of employees. I have fast food restaurant that I'm building, and even though it's only a couple stores, I have like 100 employees and there's a high turnover.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, before I can actually tell you the time it'll take, if you have an employee handbook already, which you probably do, I mean, I think all fast food stores do. So we've got to start on the content at that point. So now, how long can it take? I'd have to look at the size of that handbook, but we could have a basic course up ready for people to start taking it within a week.
Wow, that's fast.
You have to do the commitment. You'd have to do the commitment. That's not 1 hour a day a week. That's going to be a more of a commitment working on it. But we could take that employee handbook and take that and flesh it out into content that's going to be great for an automated course or an online course.
I have 2 stores.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the boss. I want to know enough about it so I'm not getting taken. I want to know what's it going to cost, and I'll probably find one of my employees or maybe hire somebody in-house to start managing more of my training, because I do have people training trainers, and they do it part-time. They work in the store and they train trainers. By the way, this is all notional. I don't have 2 stores.
We know that.
So what advice do you give me? How do I hire somebody to help me along with my own little company? This is a 100-person company, and maybe I'll get 3 stores.
If you've already got managers that are doing training, or you've got training people that are doing training throughout, like how do they get trained right now? If you hire me today, how would I get trained to do it?
We have the handbook, and then the manager trains them, but there's got to be a more efficient way to do it. And maybe I'll give them some credit for going home and doing the training, pay them a little bit, and they go through the videos, the training. And I always believe that when you can watch something, it's so much better than when you just read it. And some people learn better when they watch or go through checklists or are forced to go through something because it's being fed to them.
Oh, I'd give them a combination. You would want to come in, you would want to do a video of the manager doing this. How do you do this? Next to that, you've got the text for the manual, how they do it. Give them quizzes on it. And then, of course, they're going to have to come in and show you that they know how to do it. When they actually do it in your restaurant is when you know they've learned it. So you would have to set some time aside for doing that level of video. And with a fast food restaurant, I'm not sure. I'd have to go, think about that a little bit about the best way to do it. But other than that, and the good thing with it is if it's for internal training, it's not that you want to have crap. But if you're doing a video of a manager doing something and there's a little background noise or something, it's not like you're selling this to other people that it has to be as perfect. It's a training video for someone internal. And you know what? There's going to be background noise. It's a fast food restaurant. They're not quiet.
Right. Now I'm going to break. The reason why I asked that notional setup, I think that's really important because I think that's where it's going in this training, that the smaller business can do that. It'll be more efficient, even at different levels and document things. Now, they're not doing it to make money on their courses. They're doing it to train their employees. That's just one example. So we looked at that. And what's going to be the cost? What should I budget? Because now a fast food restaurant, I've had friends in 9, 7-Eleven, Carl's Jr.'s, and I've been around the food industry, business folks for quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But their biggest cost is employee labor, and that's going up with the minimum wage and everything else that's happening and burden. The second cost is food. It's about 50-50. So if they can streamline that employee labor, their managers stay around, but their employees turn over relatively fast because introduction into the business world for a lot of young folks generally. There's some older people too. But what's the cost going to be to set up those courses? What do you think they're going to spend? What's going to be the minimum, maximum? And what kind of equipment do they need?
If they want to do it internally, then I don't actually know what their employee costs are, but I would say even with a cell phone to get started with the videos, it's probably going to be a day's worth of somebody's time going around, maybe 2 days even, somebody's time going around with that manager taping. You're not going to have to do a whole lot of video editing probably. You're going to want a lavalier mic, and those are $50. I think that the brand name one, I bought mine, and the brand name one was $150, and I bought one that was the recommendations were it's as good as that one. I bought it for $42 or $47. Works great. So you really are looking at something you're going to have some time that you're going to have. So say you had to give even a week of one person, because say you had one person, the manager, and they had to be taped, and they had to edit it, and they had to actually put it into the courseware. Depends on what their level of knowledge is. Probably the big challenge with that group is, are they going to have a website already that they can do it, or are we going to need to put them into a Teachable maybe? But if you're internal, the free Teachable is going to be fine for you. You don't have to pay anything.
Free. Free Teachable is free too.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, it's real free. It's not one of these, well, you can do one thing and then it costs you $100. And even if you go to that next level, it's not overly expensive. So that may end up being a good solution for them. Again, I know I sound like a broken record here. It's going to come back to the planning. It's going to come back to understanding what are their needs, what are their desires to do with this, and what's their current situation with, okay, what is in that manual? How do we adjust it? What's the current tech situation? Where do they want to go with tech? And then make the decisions on that.
Okay, very good, Kim. Hey, with that, we're going to wrap up the show. You can find full show notes at timelinesofsuccess.com, timelinesofsuccess.com, or timelinesnetcast.com. Thanks, Kim.
Great. Thanks for having me, Bill. Enjoyed it. Happy New Year, everybody. See you next time.
Stay tuned for the YouTube. It'll go on, and you'll find that over at the website. So the podcast is all wrapped up.
Or we have a question in the side we'll get to also.
We're back recording.
For your iTunes, you are editing out all of our little breaks and chit chat, correct?
I put commercials in there. Get paid for the commercials.
Okay, because that will get you dropped from iTunes listeners if they hear the chit chat going on. That's wrong.
It's not even recorded though. That's why I cut the recording.
Okay. Well, even sometimes when we are recording, sometimes when we go off on tangents, I think sometimes it's better to edit that out.
I go back and that takes a lot of time though. If I can cut that takes a lot of time to edit that. Editing's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
I get somebody with
I have to do mine.
If I get somebody breathing wrong, Jonathan, I still has good and bad days on breathing. That can take me twice as long when the breathing's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. The first 5 to 7 minutes of an audio better be perfect, or you're going to lose people right away.
That's very true. All right, we have 2 questions in the side here, so let's get to those. The first one, Karen Pelt asked, when you said that iTunes was where the money is, she was just confirming that you're talking about listening to podcasts, correct? Yeah,
well, it's 65% now. 7% of the people make money on marketing, and iTunes is the target audience for sales and marketing. YouTube, first of all, editing video is even more work than editing sound. And if you get 3,000 downloads, you're going to make pretty darn good money. You're going to get 5 commercials, $15 a piece. So depending on how many episodes you do, you make pretty good money if you have 3,000. If you have even 500 and you got some local, you can get local support, not get rich, but you can make some pretty good money on your advertising. The other thing too, there's about 8 ways to monetize an iTunes podcast. One of them is just your own products, getting to know people better. And if you look at the numbers compared to YouTube to iTunes, there's no comparison. iTunes gets so many more downloads.
That's very true.
So many more. And I've got a new player that I just experimented with. It's enhanced finally the downloads are starting to go back up because they came out, iTunes changed their app and it was terrible. Hey, Paul, what's up? Sorry about that.
Sorry, delayed in unmuting myself. I just enjoying your show here from Austin, Texas. I posted a question in the side there about which of these podcasting models do you think would be the best to model after in terms of generating revenue? Would it be the Twit TV model, the No Agenda model, the Tom Merritt's Daily Tech News Show, or Todd Cochran?
Well, Todd Cochran makes it off of GoDaddy. He's got a major sponsor. He does. He's fresh and it's over, and he gets it up right away. Todd Cochran doesn't use. I like Todd Cochran's model. Twit's amazing, but you can't do Twit unless you bring a huge audience with you. So if you have to home grow your own audience, it's going to take some time. So I think the best thing to do is to start a blab and practice on blab. Go up into YouTube's and watch them. And then once you get some people following you there, move up into the iTunes platform. There's a lot of shows. I did a show last year. We put 12 of them up. They're just pure high-end podcasters. And because I talked to the podcaster, we decided not to put that up in iTunes. Now, Timelines is one of my original shows, and it's not a great name, not a great format, but I use it as a testing platform. The only way to make big money in podcasting is get a lot of followers and have great content and then use social media to get it out. It's a lot of work. It's a full-time job if you're going to make money that way. If you have a local, here's a way you do it well. If you have a local business, you go around, let's say you're a real estate agent in a town, you go around and interview 2 people a week in your community, and you get really good at interviewing, and you put those up on podcasts and YouTube, and that's going to help your real estate business grow. You can also get some local sponsors. Pretty easy to get local sponsors, believe it or not. You look at who's advertising in the paper and on the local TV, and you just call them, and you offer some great deals. And it's amazing how easy it is to get a local sponsor. It's not hard. Most people don't do that, though. And then the other thing, too, is take advantage of every way to monetize. If you have a little website, make sure you have, and I'm lazy at this because it's the 4% rule. Have a resource page. I mean, I've given out tons of, people bought lots of stuff from what I've recommended. I never made a dime off of it. So it's not that hard once you set it up. And I don't care if you copy my page or anybody's page. It's not a great page, but have a affiliate link. I mean, it doesn't cost anything more. It's right there. It's easy to find. So I put up only the stuff that I use. And Kim, today I was going to talk to you about the 3 platforms. It's funny. I'm going back and forth on DigitalOcean.
Okay.
It's good to get your input because Kim is a higher level of WordPress than I am. She's out, I go to WordCamps, but she's smarter than I am when it comes to WordPress. But the platforms are so important. There's so much to do. The average person, it's a lot tougher than you think. Like the Twit model, one thing that they do that I really like is there's a bunch of people who have different jobs. Let me go on this one more time. If you're going to do a podcast, here's the jobs. You have to have a producer. You can be all these jobs. So if you're a solopreneur, you're going to be a producer. You're going to be a talent, means you come on, you're the talent on the show with somebody, ideally. You're going to have to be an engineer technician, and you're going to have to be a marketer. That's the minimum 4. We could break those down into more. Can you add any more jobs with that, Kim?
No, that's really it. Unless, it depends too. Depends on the format also, because if you're doing the kind of format that you do, Bill, with the interview format, that in itself takes an extra level of coordination than just the people who turn on a mic and sit and chat.
Right.
Because you have to, you get with who's going to talk and make sure that they're on. And I don't know about you. I've heard from other podcasters who do interview shows that, somebody doesn't show up for whatever reason, then what's next? So I think that there's some other levels of those are the main roles, but the depth of what that means could depend on your platform as well as how often your show is, right? A daily show versus a weekly show kind of thing.
I've got a solution now, and Blab has really helped. For the people who don't show up, what you need to do is you need to go record 2 or 3 shows. I have 15 shows in reserve. They're already pre-recorded. And then I'll tell the folks, as those pre-recordings get stale, I said, why don't you have, I do a daily and I try to put it up within 2 hours on iTunes. And that's really important to do that for me. But I'll bring those folks on who did that backup show and say, now we'll do your other show and we'll throw away the backup show. So that's an extra production that you have to do. But you just have to have those backup shows. So it's really nice though with Blab though, if somebody doesn't show up, I'll come up and I'll just open it up. I'll bring the folks on and we'll talk. Sometimes there's somebody good enough to actually do the show. But the thing I wanted to hit that, the other thing too, is there's some legalities here too. Disclosure, there's all sorts of different rules and laws going out there that's hard to track. And ideally, if I have a guest, I hit the disclosure button, which gives access to everybody to share. It's the most liberal disclosure you could have. And I should put that up. But there's a lot to it. Yeah, there's a lot to it. I've been podcasting for 2 years. And I don't get my numbers, my max number is about 400 or 500, but I'm getting them back up again. You've got to do certain things to get your numbers up. Everyone's numbers went down when this new podcasting app from iTunes came out. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of podcasters talking about that on Blab over the holiday timeframe. Yeah. And I don't have, those of you who know me, I have Blabs and I have videos. I don't have a podcast yet. I'll be launching mine next year. So I haven't had to deal with that piece of it. Another piece, though, I did want to just point out in there when you mentioned your resources page, if you're going to do affiliate links, that's a big area where you need to make sure that you have your disclosures. There's an FTC disclosure you have to do if you're an affiliate. And that one's really simple. You can actually put it down in your footer and be done. But some companies actually require more specific. Like, for example, SiteGround is one of the web hosting companies I recommend, and Divi is one of the themes that I use. And they actually want it on the page right near where you're telling people the link. You need to disclose that this is an affiliate link. And what you don't want to have happen, and I know people this has happened to, they get it all built up and they've got $1,000 or $2,000 waiting for that next payment. I've specifically seen this happen to people with Amazon, and their account gets pulled because they broke a rule, and that money is off the table at that point. So make sure Amazon you get your disclosures in.
Sometimes I think Amazon does that intentionally.
They probably do.
Because they make money that way. Amazon, I got mixed feelings with Amazon. They're not very good for the affiliated person. It's only 4%, and they're a pain in the ass.
But where they're good is they're a good backup because they have everything, right? So
Yeah,
when you can't work one-on-one with a SiteGround or somebody like that because maybe they don't have an affiliate program or you're not big enough, Amazon, anything you could ever want is out there. Or if you're going to, for example, you interview people if they're an author, why not at least get purchases off of that book when people come? So I agree, it's not the best affiliate program, but I think you're cutting off your nose to spite your face if you don't have it available.
But Amazon is extremely frustrating.
Yes,
because they won't tell you why they just cut you off. You got to go hunt it down and figure out why did you cut them off. And it could be because you used the word Amazon, like in a redirect link, or it could be an easy one. And the other thing, let's say you have 165 episodes like I do, and you cut you off and they allow you to reapply. Well, now all those old links, they're getting free commissions unless I go back and change them all. And that's hard to do too.
Right.
So Amazon has got some weird practices. It's a good, but I think you need to try there. It's tough. So what's your affiliate? Can you drop your affiliate page in there?
Me?
Kim, do you have one?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'll drop it in just a minute. I'm answering Roxanne right now. Yes, Karen, I meant this year. I'm still on Thursday time frame. So yes, 2016, my podcast launches. I'm in big trouble if I wait till 2017. And that will be a podcast on online courses. Some of the episodes will be me just talking. A lot of them will be me interviewing people who have built online courses and going through their process so that we can kind of look at the back end and what people need to expect and what was frustrating and that type of thing.
Another question I had is I've got an AdSense program, and I've got a tremendous number of websites with a lot of hits and a lot of impressions, and I make a pitiful amount on AdSense. Why is that? Is Google gamed the system that nobody can make any money anymore on AdSense?
I don't know personally because I don't have AdSense anymore. I had it back in the day. But I have heard a lot of people who do a lot of niche projects like Spencer Hawes of Niche Pursuits say that they're, that kind of like with Amazon, it's hard to make money on AdSense. And again, at the drop of a hat, they can pull you without even giving you an explanation. So I'm not sure if, again, I think I would maybe approach it like I would Amazon. If it's products that I couldn't help get elsewhere and I'm making a little bit, then make a little bit instead. But if I could, like for example, with theme shops for WordPress, with theme shops, with plugins, with hosting, you can usually get a better deal direct from that person. Now, having said that, of the 3 LMS plugins I prefer and love for WordPress, only one of them has an affiliate. So all the other times I teach the others, there's just no possibility even there. But that's okay. I teach what I love and what works for people, not based on whether or not they have an affiliate program.
Well, I'm looking forward to your all's WordPress offerings with your shows that you do on WordPress. I'll definitely tune into those because I am very eager to buff up all my WordPress sites. I've got a lot of them.
How many do you have?
About somewhere between 70 and 100.
Wow.
Can you drop a couple in the notes?
What's that?
If you want to. You can drop a couple in the notes if you'd like to the right side.
Oh, okay.
All messages. A lot of people, it's funny. I see some guys who run the shows and they're all worried about people dropping their links in. I'd love to have the links in because you get to see what other people are doing, and that's what it's all about. It's cooperation and training.
Oh yeah, I like the notes from people who are actually on with me. I don't want the guy who, you can tell where they came from and they're like, oh, I like this blog post, and then they put 12 notes to Viagra or something. They're not going to.
No, that's Viagra is disappearing. Thank goodness. No, we don't want to. I can't believe people made so much money on Viagra. Isn't that weird?
I did. I put my resources link in the side notes. And also, if you are interested in always knowing what's up to date with me, if you join my mailing list, I really do make my mailing list of value. It's not just a sales pitch. Every week you will get information on my programs, but you also get a little private lesson that's just for you. It won't be posted on the site, or it might be in the far future, but it's just for my members and my followers.
So, Kim, we didn't talk much about platforms. We talked a little bit we didn't record it, but so you're leaning towards going to DigitalOcean, huh?
At least for one of mine. I was on it before. I liked it, but I didn't want to deal with the system administration piece. But now that I'm going to be farming that out to Jonathan, who has joined us, I'll be putting that one over there. At least that one membership piece, I'm going to test it and we'll put it out there and we'll see what happens. But I did like it when I had it. I just was trying to keep away from doing that much system administration for myself, which is why I like Jonathan's service.
On DigitalOcean, I think Jonathan's going to do pretty well. I know he's been picking up clients with DigitalOcean, and we run that commercial too. We'll run it on this show, one of those breaks. By the way, talking about commercial, here's another thing. It takes a while to create a good commercial and to get good at creating commercials, writing and copyright and all the things there are to do. That's another thing. We didn't talk about that. Another thing is a copywriter.
Yeah.
That's another job. Remember we did about 4 basic jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a big business, you need a copywriter.
You do? Well, you might. I think that a lot of that comes into the whole marketing piece you mentioned. You got to do marketing. So that's where you're going to have a copywriter. You're going to have someone doing your social media. And for a lot of podcasters, I think that they do all hats. I think that's particularly for people who aren't generating revenue with their podcast. That might be their only option, is to do all hats until they can build that up some.
It's a lot of work. I mean,
it's a lot of work.
A lot of people are hobbyists and or they're doing it for nonprofit churches, things like that. But it's a lot of work to that. So I just put Netcasting 101 in, and that is built on. I dropped it in. That is built on DigitalOcean, and DigitalOcean is interesting. I'm trying to get a feel of what they're going to charge for downloads, and can you all of a sudden wake up with a $200 or $300 bill? normally a non-shared site VPN, what was $60 a month?
No.
That's what I can't answer right now in DigitalOcean. Maybe Jonathan, you want to come in and explain that to us? I got $12 this month, and I didn't think we used much bandwidth in it. Not like.
I think a lot's going to depend. I mean, Jonathan would be able to answer it better, but I think a lot's going to depend. I don't look at it when you were saying, shouldn't that just be about $16 a month or whatever? The thing is that they are going to, with the speed, et cetera, there are some bandwidth charges. I still think it is, so you're not comparing apples to apples a lot of times if you're comparing it against some of these other hosts. Instead, you would have to compare it to like a Rackspace or one of those, Amazon, AWS,
Yep.
where, that's how you have to compare this
They're
as
right.
far as both money, speed, security, and everything else, because that's really a head-to-head. I will say from my experience, even though there's more system administration, it's still easier to spin up and use than a Rackspace or a AWS site. But that's really where you have to, if you want to do pricing and functionality, that's who you have to put it against.
Right. And yeah, that's true. And Amazon S3 is real nice. Everyone should try Amazon S3. It's basically free to start.
Right.
And to learn how to use Amazon. It's pretty simple too. But you're not going to.
Oh, go ahead.
You're not going to want to host your WordPress site on it.
I tossed you guys another question. I don't know if you categorize it as a hardball question or a softball question, but
I see it there, Paul. I was just going to get to it next. Okay, so sources for WordPress. Personally, I am not a fan of ThemeForest for themes. Code Canyon, I have gotten some good plugins, but it's hit or miss. I like them more for some of the artistic things like Audio Jungle, etc. Genesis as a framework is always spot on. But the big thing you have to be careful with Genesis is it's only as good as the child theme you purchase. So the framework itself, which is what theme is built on, is solid. But there's some really good child themes out there that are built on top of the framework, and there's some really bad ones. So you have to know what you're doing. With elegant themes, I personally do like the Divi theme for beginners. However, I use it for several of my sites, so a disclaimer there. And I teach it in some of my basic classes, but I don't think it's as solid or powerful as the Genesis framework. But I'm still testing some of the child plugins along with a builder to see if I can get that ease of use for my brand new people. Because for some people, if they're new and they want a really nice looking site, easy, then it may be the best theme for them, and it sure is priced right for that. But I am still working on, I'm just doing Beaver Builder and some of the Genesis themes to see if I can get that same ease of use with that bigger back-end functionality.
Did you buy Beaver Builder just recently?
Yeah, I met him at WordCamp US.
So you did buy that. Are you using it? Are you playing with it?
I haven't started yet. I will be. That's one of my 2016 things. I had to launch my course first.
One of my disciplines now is not to buy stuff until I'm really ready to use it.
I do, except for over Black Friday through the holidays when they have sales. I buy as much as I can for the year.
Oh yeah, you know what? I bought $400 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Black Friday is an amazing day to buy
software. Yes.
Yeah. I shot out some of my affiliate links to folks. I made almost as much as I bought that day because they're such great deals. That's where I bought my 3 years of cloud hosting with Bluehost. Mm-hmm. And that's really good for all those secondary sites all in one day. And I saved a lot of money by doing that. That was good. Hey, Genesis Dynamic is what I use. I almost exclusively, my sites aren't gorgeous. That's one area I want to improve is in my graphics. Go to the next level. I've been doing WordPress for about 2 years. But here's another thing I thought about. There's a lot of people teaching podcasting, different elements out there. And if you're going to be a PC guy, go find somebody who specializes in PC. If you're going to be a Mac person, maybe lean towards the Mac person. Not meaning you can't use either or. I learned WordPress through a guy who was a PC guy, and I have a PC because of engineering and design, so I knew PCs. But in retrospect, I really wanted to learn Mac, and I should. It's better to learn from a Mac guy if you're going to have a Mac and do Mac, because if you want to stay PC, that's fine. But going back and forth is tough on the brain.
Do you mean just for the peripherals though? Because when you're logging into your WordPress site, it's the same. It doesn't matter what you're on. But
No, I'm not talking WordPress. I'm talking like podcasting.
Okay. Yeah.
No, not WordPress. WordPress, it's Mox Nix, like you said, but podcasting, because all the sound, the video, all these different things that we're using. I mean, Chrome is Chrome, and Chrome is good too. I'm trying to learn the Chromebooks.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start out with a Mac person, if you want to go in this sort of marketing media stuff or WordPress, the guys who are WordPress are more engineering types, and they're not. It's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
I forced myself into Mac. I had to learn Mac. It took me a while, but it's a better platform, I think, and better to learn from people because there's unique things on every platform. Like, don't put Cam Twist on your Mac. Do not put Cam Twist in your Mac. Anybody put Cam Twist in here?
Mm-mm.
Anyone know what Cam Twist is?
I do, but I haven't tried it on my Mac.
Story on a Mac. I've heard that from other. I may have heard it from you in an earlier podcast.
A lot of people when Blab first came out, I've been on 126 days in Blab, and we're putting in Cam Twist. Oh, look at these great things. And I'm always concerned about when I put something in that's not, coming through the Mac store, and Cam Twist doesn't come through. It was nasty. I got it out. It took some work.
I'm trying Minicam right now, and that hasn't crashed my system at least.
On Minicam on a PC.
Mac.
On your Mac.
I don't own I own a PC, but it doesn't run. I went completely Mac about a year and 3 months ago.
Oh, completely. Wow.
Happy New Year, Jonathan.
Are you going with the paid version or the free version?
Tested the free version first, and then if it actually worked, I would update because I wanted to play with the lower thirds for Blab. When I do video, I use iMovie to do my lower thirds, and I like that a lot. But I like the people who get to have their lower thirds on Blab. I'm a little envious when I see them.
So, what is your workflow when you create a course? You're using ScreenFlow, I take it.
Yes. So for me, when I'm doing screen grabs, I use ScreenFlow. I have Camtasia, but personally, I just like ScreenFlow. For 90% of my classes, I just use ScreenFlow completely. If I really want to notch up the audio, I will do the audio in Adobe and drop it into ScreenFlow. But of course, that adds a lot more to the editing than if I do it start to finish in ScreenFlow. And ScreenFlow is pretty darn good on audio, but it's just there's a little tweak there. So sometimes I go back and forth on what I need to do. But I do that with ScreenFlow. I do my video with both iMovie, and I'm working with the Adobe product now. It's more powerful, but it's got a big learning curve. So for right now, I'm doing iMovie while I learn the Adobe product. iMovie has a little more limitations, but it's still pretty good. And then the decision would be, would I use, as I get bigger and want to get more complex, do I want to do Adobe or Final Cut Pro? But I already pay for the Adobe products. I pay every month for everything. So I might as well use that one. I think Final Cut Pro is like $900 or something. And I'm just not there yet to decide on that. My straight audio, if I'm just doing an audio for you, I do use the Adobe product. I have Audacity, but again, if you've got Adobe, use it. I didn't think Audacity was that much easier to use for me. I don't know. I use Photoshop for my photo editing. I've been using that for years and years and years. And I'm not great at it, but I can do anything I need to do for what I need to do. So that's that. As far as the text, and those of you who took my class, and actually anybody who's on my mailing list, I sent out for a free webinar this afternoon that actually is probably going to be a video sent tomorrow as opposed to a live webinar because we're coming up on that time right now. And the only 2-3 people who signed up so far emailed me and said, I want the replay. I'm not available on Saturday. So it's just going to be a video posted tomorrow on how to organize content. So I'm going to be going through doing the brain dump and how I organize that. I use a combination of tools like Todoly, which is a to-do list. project manager, but it's great for just getting those ideas out and then starting to organize them and then taking them and going into a lesson plan where we decide, what does this lesson need? What does it need? Video? What level of video? What type of text, etc. And then we put that together. For my text, I tend to use either Pages, OpenOffice, which is more similar to Microsoft Word, or InDesign if I'm really going to be doing a big, truly print quality book for that piece. So that's kind of the high level of the tools I use. And most of those tools are on howtobuildanonlinecourse.com/resources. I'm putting that in now.
Okay, yeah, drop it in. That's good. I was going to do it, but very good. That the Adobe Suites is a lot of work. That's for sure. I'm trying to think. I'm actually looking at ways. How can I get away from Adobe? I love the PDF Pro. I use that for my wife's real estate company, but I'd like to get away from Adobe because I think Adobe is overly difficult, and they're so coded and so they have some problems. Adobe Edition I use, and on the Mac version, on the last upgrade for the iOS, they took forever to get caught up.
I don't use it on on my Mac. I haven't had problems. Here's my thing with Adobe.
Well, it's fixed now, but it wasn't. It was sloppy, and a lot of things went wrong. And I can show you because I know Adobe Edition pretty well. I can show you some of their stuff is still not is broken.
My biggest thing, and there's part of me that would like to get away, but I haven't. This is an interesting one. When I was on PC, I had a company who was inexpensive. They were out of the UK. I would now have to look up the names of the products because they don't have a Mac suite, but they hands down beat Adobe in everything, and they were a quarter of the price. Mm-hmm. Since I've come to Mac, I'm sorry, but I haven't found Pixelmator and all of those image editors. They're not nearly as good as Photoshop. And Pages, they dropped all the functionality that matches InDesign. And now that FrameMaker and all of my other desktop publishers are gone, and I need a true desktop publisher, I'm kind of, until a competitor comes out for InDesign, I'm kind of stuck. So as long as I'm paying for it every month, I might as well use it.
Yeah, I pay for it. I'm paying like $59 a month.
That's me, $59 a month.
It's gone up too. The new ones are even more, like $69, I think. I don't know. Are we grandfathered? Or
I think I got grandfathered. It's still popping out of my account at $59.
Still a lot of money though, when you think about it. It all adds up. It all adds up. It's really tough to decide. And that's, there's two areas here. Not only does it add up in cost, thanks. That's a pretty good deal. I just got coffee here. That's nice. Must be the end of the coffee. Not only does it add up in their cost, but there's only so much bandwidth that you can study stuff. So you want to know what you want to study. Mm-hmm. Like I do Adobe. I do, and let's go back to WordPress. And I love WordPress, first of all. I love the WordPress people, love WordPress camps, but I am not the expert WordPress person. So I use Genesis Dynamic. It just works. It's easy. I'm building on it. Mm-hmm. But I'm still working at my graphic design element of that element. And I think you've talked about that too. So mm-hmm. you want to look at where you want to invest your time and energy and money if you want to make any money.
You absolutely do. And let me throw out something else there. And this is, I think, why online courses and well-developed online courses are going to become even more important. And this is something that I don't think other content creators are talking about. And when I say content creators, I mean courseware content creators. And there's something called just-in-time learning. Mm-hmm. So just-in-time learning means I don't take a whole course on Photoshop. I learn a couple of the basics when I'm ready to learn Photoshop, when I know I need to edit content. I don't try to do this ahead of time. And I learn the basics that I absolutely have to do. But then everything else that's a quick learn, what I want to do is have it easily available. So what does that mean? It's searchable. It's a quick lesson. It's some quick steps to remind me so that I'm not we don't need to do a master's level course on Photoshop. We need to know how to just do a few things. And then I'll give you an example. If any of you saw my picture of Panther, my cat with his Santa hat on Christmas that I posted on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. I know the basics. I pulled it up and he is a black cat. Panther is his name, and it was too dark. So I knew I needed to put the layer on to lighten it immediately. And I don't always keep in my head exactly which layer that is, but I know how to quickly find it. It was however long my fingers took to type it, boom, popped right up. And there it was. So within 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever, I found it, read it, applied it, and it was done. So I think sometimes with these large applications, it's not even that. It's not even the question of do they have good training. The question is right now, have they broken down their training in a way that you can do just-in-time learning? And it's so new talked about that people are just starting to do that. In the past, the way all of us approached learning was, let me give you everything. Let's make this a master's level course so that at the end of my WordPress class, you could open an agency. And that's not realistic for the way people learn. And it's not realistic, particularly for how business people learn. And the more complex we get with our systems and everything else, the more we're going to have to go to these, get the basics to someone and let them learn the others quickly as they go with quick references to come back to when they don't keep it in their head, because they don't need to keep it in their head. They've got other things they should keep in their head.
You know, that's a really, really important thing, that just in time, that I can't say how important that is. All my mistakes I've made have been because I try to jump ahead too far. And I just put Infusionsoft just in time SaaS. I have Infusionsoft. It's taken me a long time to learn how to use it. I'm still learning. I have a good friend who went to the developer program on Infusionsoft. There's no doubt in my mind that I jumped from Aweber to Infusionsoft way too soon. You need, first of all, you need a lot of money. If you're going to go on Infusionsoft, they're going to charge you $1,200 minimum and plus $200 to $300 a month. And that's just the skin. Their training is really bad. You're going to want to go hire a high-end trainer, which is going to cost you another $5,000 at least to get that in place. Now, if you're making big money and you're already making money, that's pittance, because you'll make a lot. But if you're doing that jump, it's too big a jump. It's too big a jump to me. I still have it. I'll probably keep it because I've put a lot of time and effort. But I bet that Infusionsoft may have cost me $50,000 to $70,000 of profit and gains this year.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, I think it's right for some people, but you really should be ready for it when you go that route. And it's very expensive no matter what. As far as the why doesn't Adobe have better training? First of all, I do think their training's improving. And I think they are starting to come online where a quick search can get you what you need. They are doing more video training. My biggest criticism of them is next to the video, you don't have the steps written out all the time, but they're getting there. I think that one of the big challenges with Adobe, they've been around for so long, and they lived in that same Microsoft market of resellers and certified support people. And that's who they turned over to for training back in the day. Remember, when I first bought Adobe, I think every single program was $1,500 to $2,000 each. So you were working, you couldn't afford that as an individual. You had FrameMaker was $1,500 and Photoshop was $1,500, et cetera. And you bought it from a reseller and they trained you, and those days are gone. So I think that Adobe I think they're trying to catch up. And I'm not a Adobe fangirl. Please, everybody know that.
Oh,
in fact,
their customer
I've hated
support
them
is
at
disgusting.
times.
Let me tell you, over the holidays last month, because of the issue with Adobe Edition, and I've worked them out, not working right with Mac on the upgrade, I would call them up, and I'd be on hold for 20, 30, 40, an hour and a half, different times, 3 times. You couldn't get through to them. For spending $60 a month, they have the absolute worst customer support there is. Adobe. For me, in my opinion, I documented how long I've waited on different things. On the other hand, you go to something that's different, which is Google business apps, and they're great. So if Google could give some competition to Adobe, right, I'm all for it.
But their apps just aren't there as far as if you're trying to do desktop publishing and the things that I'm doing. I would probably go that way too, but it's not there yet.
By the way, customer support, as I evolve more and more years, I've been 25 years in technology in some aspect. Customer support weighs heavier on me. That's why I like SiteGround.
Oh, I'm the same. I'm big. In fact, don't even after the week I have had, don't even get me started on customer support. We ended up having to get a new car this week, and it's been a nightmare of not good customer support.
From the auto business.
Yes. Yeah. It was a rough week last week. A lot of my stuff didn't get done because I was spending it at dealerships and mechanics and all other kinds of things. So yeah, I'm big on customer service, but don't get me started on it today. It's not a good rant that we want to hear.
So Jonathan just said he likes Get Response.
No, I said to Jonathan, I like Get Response. Jonathan said to tell you to go to ConvertKit. And I was on ConvertKit, and my only challenge with them was I didn't like their, I didn't think they had an easy to use email newsletter system, and Get Response had that easier. And they also had a better entry level fee just for where I am with my list right now. But I did like ConvertKit. When I was there, it was just, this was why I moved over to Get Response.
Oh, you're using Get Response.
Mm-hmm.
What does that run a month? Like, we could look at the pricing here.
It's I think up to 1,000 is $15, and then it goes to I think 39 or 49. And most of the others started you at the 49. So I was like, I'm not quite there yet with, especially as I have neglected a couple of lists, and I've really been rebuilding and segmenting things, et cetera, over the last year as I've changed my direction. That I'm really not even at that 1,000 right now. I should be really soon, but I didn't really want to pay the 59. Oh, and I think they had a break in between, like 1,000, 5,000, and then up to the next level. So that was fair. And I love their email newsletter tool. It's easy to use, and it makes really great looking emails. So that was the only thing there.
Now, would you integrate this in with Monster? I've got the Monster plugin.
Opt-in Monster?
Opt-in Monster.
I do. I have it integrated.
You wouldn't have to. Do you have a welcome gate, or how are you integrating this? Just through the API, of course.
Yeah, you just post your API into Opt-in Monster, tell them which list you want that one, that opt-in to go to, and it goes right there.
Now, does this do any campaign building like Infusionsoft? Basically, Infusionsoft, the only thing it has is the campaign builder. And they also have they're integrated in with a reasonable marketing, not marketing, but a cart, what is that?
Cart?
Merchant account.
Oh, yeah, no, this doesn't do your merchant account. And frankly, I don't want to do my merchant account through my email provider. I don't like that philosophy or layout, but it does have really good integration, and ConvertKit does too, into a lot of the different autoresponder type things. But it's not going to be the level of a customer circle that Infusionsoft is. But the price is, not what Infusionsoft is either.
No.
But again, I don't like Infusionsoft and Entreport's thing where you're actually managing the sales through your campaign manager. I like to keep those separate.
Now Pat Flynn has a new CRM he's pushing. If I was trying to find it, I know I've seen it out there a lot.
I did try Drip, Jonathan, but it was kind of when they just launched, and they were going through some difficult times, and I think their base level was that $49 a month, and I was just trying to I didn't feel like I was ready for $49 a month, and I didn't think they were quite ready for me. But I like the guys themselves that are that are the creators of that program. So maybe in the future, as I grow up, I'll look at them again.
So I just put in, did I find it? No. Smart Passive Income. So maybe it goes, I'm trying to think. Pat Flynn is pretty good on reviewing and looking at things. Now he's doing everything based on affiliate marketing. That's how he makes most of his money, on affiliate marketing. I don't know how many folks know Pat Flynn. He's one of the early affiliate marketers. That's his primary source. And he really focuses on that, does a lot of free courses.
That's great. But he's like me in the sense, though, if it's somebody he loves and they don't have an affiliate program, he still tells you, I love this product. He's not one of those who makes his decisions on what he likes based on affiliates. He's very ethical.
By the way, my mouse just got disconnected.
Oh, the Apple mouse, man, I have that problem too.
Let me tell you what I did.
I'll also say he's as nice in person when you meet him as he is as he is on his podcast. I met him over the summer, and he's just was a wonderful person.
He's a super nice person. That's why I think that's
Yes.
half of his draw is so nice, and people like and trust him.
They absolutely do. And I'm not, it's not like I was the one person he was nice to. Everybody who meets him in real life, he's just that nice, and everybody points that out, and it just continues growing that,
Kim knows what this is and knows what this is. And what you don't know is I called Apple up so many times. I have one support account with them. I actually buy support because I'm on this stuff so much, a 3-year support package when I bought this iMac. And lucky, I bought this at the same time. So I got a brand new, and that's the first time it's dropped off. I just got it 3 or 4 days ago. Brand new replacement for my last one.
Oh, you got a new one.
They gave me a brand new one because I have I bought it when I bought my iMac and it was under warranty. And it worked great, but it just dropped off for the first time. Who knows? But the new Mac mouse, I wanted them to give me a new one, the new upgraded one, because it's charging, and they say they don't have the problem.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I will tell you that I found one thing with mine that's going to sound very strange, but I looked it up online. Duracell batteries don't drop off as much as Energizer batteries.
I believe you.
And the reason is the size. There is actually like a 100th of a millimeter or something difference in the size of the batteries. And it has to do with if it shifts around inside. Anyway.
Those are the ones. So I know you got to get going. Now, are you going? You're not going live today, right?
I'm going to go live, but I'm probably going to just mainly make it tape because, like I said, the only 2 people who signed up for it, I just sent this out 2 days ago. They actually signed up and then asked for the replay. And then the others wrote me back and said, is it going to be in the membership area? And I said, yeah. So
what do you
we'll watch it there.
Webinar player now?
Pardon me?
For the webinar, what are you going to use for a player?
You mean a recorder to manage my webinars? Mm-hmm. I still have both Webinar Jam and Webinar Ninja. I love the guys who are behind Webinar Ninja, and I like their scalability, but they still are, I bought early adopter for them. They've been out for less than a year, and they're still having some growing pains. So right now I'm still doing more Webinar Jam for my professional ones, and then running like some test ones in Webinar Ninja over, like I'll let people know, hey, we're going to run a test. They just came out with a new chat feature, etc. Because I do have that ability. What I would love is
Ninja practice, going back and forth. I'm sort of leaning towards Webinar Ninja, helping them get going.
Well, like I said, I still run my test ones through that. I would love to get to the point where that's the only one I use, but there's still some, like, for example, one of the things I do in Webinar Jam is I create the webinar and everyone can go register for it. But they have what they call an emergency link, and anybody can click on that link, enter their name and email address, and come in. You don't have to have gone and registered and wait for the email and all that. So for people, when you pay for my course, I don't want you to have to keep going and registering every time I add something. So what I do is I generate the link, email it to everybody, put it in the private membership area, and people just know where they have to go to click, and they're not looking for, oh, I have to go register again, I have to do this. And so until they get there, I don't think I can 100% pull off of Webinar Jam, because for me, it's really about my customers, making sure that I'm making it as easy for them.
Someday, I think you'll be off Webinar Jam though, because they're expensive, and you've got that. Well, you lucky.
They both are. I mean, I'm getting double.
Webinar Ninja. Didn't you buy the early adopter?
Yeah, I did. So that's not as bad, but they're expensive now too. If you didn't buy the early adopter.
Hey Kim, I know you go. I'm going. I saw Rob Hicks just showed up. I'm going to ask from the audience, the listener out there who is live. I'm going to ask him for some help on logos. We got some new logos coming up for timelines for 216. I was going to have Rob drop in a bunch. One thing is I got to send Rob. Rob's been a really good help. My colors are like light. My new colors are all handicap accessible. I learned this at LA PodCamp, and that the different colors of blues. Mm-hmm. And I've really tried to, and a little, you can use orange, but you have to have it in contrast with blue. Not sure about black. You know anything? You remember what they said about black?
Black is basically what they said is run it through the contrast testers.
Yeah.
That's all I did at WordCamp US was accessible stuff, and none of my sites are, by the way.
Yep.
But that's part of my 2016 promise, is that they will be, so that they're contrast testers. So you can, black and white, for example, are great, high contrast. Black and bright colors, like your bright orange, are probably fine, but there's a contrast color. And then orange and blue, of course, I'm a gator, so we can do orange and blue all day. I'd be happy with that.
Those are good colors. But there's a reason why you want to start doing that now, and you got to start thinking ahead. I've been around the government. They're not out to help business. They're out to throw more, out to help. The job of me, the federal government, is to protect the consumer, the people. But you're not going to be able to get work in some areas, in some places, any government work, or even secondary government contracts, even from school districts, or might be even HUD money, if you don't have a compliant WordPress page. I kid you not.
I know, but though, something else though, just so you know, my problems with mine were not the colors. It was that it's not tabbable. So you've got to make sure you pay attention. You cannot have a site that is mouse required to access it. You have got to be able to tab through that site in order for it to be accessible. So that's where it got me in trouble. So if you guys are making a commitment to making your sites accessible, there are some really good quick guidelines to go through. I'll see if I can't find those and get them out on White Glove Web Training, because I'll tell you that if you look at the ones the government puts out, you'll just pull out your hair. You'll never figure it out.
Right.
There's some quick ones that will let you know really what needs to be done if you want to be accessible. No,
I'm saying, I know now you got to go, but that we could do a whole show on that. By the way, on Saturdays, I want to start talking timelines tech on Saturdays, just like we're doing now. I want to bring back a group of about 10 people to really get into this tech and how things change. I bring a different perspective, because I had a pretty robust design build construction business, and I've had some litigation, and it's been over handicap access. I've been in federal guidelines, but had other guidelines, and you don't want to mess around with that stuff. And I see it coming on these sites. If you can get ahead of the power curve and start learning the basics, that's going to be a lot of money in that too. The people who understand this compliance issues and get stuff and certify it, they're going to make huge money in the WordPress arena. Very likely. So, hey, thanks, Kim. Thank you for having me. I'm going to stay open, because unless you want to stay on, I want, if you can, Rob is up there. Rob, could you drop in some of those new logos? And Rob, I'm going to send you some colors. He's on me for branding. And he's also frustrated because you don't understand. I've got that WordPress thing. I've got 17 websites. How many do you have? Me? Yeah. I'm down now. I have 3. Oh, that's it? I have 3 or 4. Yeah, I'm down to 3 right now. I'm going to be building 3 more this year. I've got to build one for my cat, and I've got to build up the membership site. So I should end up with 6 at the end of the year. And then Dagmar Gattel, who's in the audience, she and I need to generate a couple together. We've launched a blab together on niching websites. She does online positioning and authority. She's an SEO expert, but she focuses more on really how to position yourself as a whole, not just stuff a bunch of keywords and things, because that's not going to help you. And we do a niche blab together on that, and we'll be doing some sites together. But right now I'm down to just 3. I'm breathing easy, and we're going to start 2016 off right. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The reason why I leave some of my old sites up, I've got them being monitored through WordPress in the back sites, but you're still getting great SEO, and you're building SEO on those sites. But if you take them down, you're going to lose that SEO, right? Yeah, you don't want to take them down. Mine is just, it's things that, like Dagmar just said, we have 4 sites. We just have, they're exactly like what you just said. They're there, but we haven't been building them and doing something with them. And when I said 3, I meant 3 that I'm actively working on every week. Now, yeah, how do you she's right. Our other ones and protect them. We have them set for auto updates. We've got them on SiteGround, and SiteGround does even the full auto update, but they have the one-click rollback just in case something doesn't go right. We've stripped out so that most of the plugins aren't problematic, and they're just ready so that, as she said, we've got them there, and we will be spinning those up in 2016 and really making something of them. She and I do a course together on how to build a niche website, and that's one of them, as well as some online marketing programs. So thank you for that reminder, Dagmar. And then she says we use those 2 for lead generation for our online courses. That's really good. And so do you have Genesis in any of those? Because I don't think Genesis, that's one of the few it doesn't do an automatic update. No, we don't have Genesis in those. I have SiteGround and Bluehost, and Bluehost has a one-click backup, which I've used twice last year. And have you ever used SiteGround's rollback?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. When we went from, was it 3.9 to 4.0? One of the ones in the last year, on one of my sites, it just brought everything to a screeching halt, and I used the one-click rollback, went and figured out. And actually, what the update was, interestingly, this wasn't for me. Actually, this was for a client when I still had clients.
I shot them all.
One of the WooCommerce extensions had not been updated.
Yeah.
So all of the other WooCommerce extensions did, but one WooCommerce extension broke the whole site, the whole shopping cart. It was a mess. So yes, I have used that.
That's really good. Hey, if you can, I'd like to get next Saturday. I'm looking for somebody. I got to look at the schedule. We're doing really good on scheduling out now for the Daily Show.
Mm-hmm.
I think what should we talk about? Maybe you should talk about shopping carts next Saturday. Find somebody out there who's really good. Who do you recommend?
Unless you can get someone to talk about accessibility.
Well, accessibility is always good, but I mean, I think it's really for the visionaries who understand what's coming down the road. With the FCC took over the internet, folks. I don't know if you know it this year.
Well,
that's one of the things.
The woman who kind of leads the charge for it at WordPress would be a good one. I sat down with her at WordCamp, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I'll get it for you because she was really good. And a couple of the guys who spoke on it would be. Security, as you know, is always a good topic when you're talking about the internet. And then for shopping carts and WooCommerce, I don't know who. Reach out to one of the guys at Woo.
So what are you using right now for your shopping cart, your e-commerce?
I'm doing everything either through the plugin itself or the membership site. Mm-hmm. Now, when I do the Sensei site, that one will be using WooCommerce to sell the courses that are done in Sensei.
With Sensei is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm using Infusionsoft. So
yeah, like I told you, I'm not going to use my campaign and email manager for taking money.
So using Stripe?
I have. I'm not right now. Right now I'm using PayPal. The one that I'm about to be using Stripe on, I've got to get my SSL certificate up on. So I've got a Stripe account, but I've got to get that site configured with SSL. I
like PayPal. The problem is the newbies are literally don't like PayPal for some reason. I don't know why. I'm talking business people. Business folks don't like PayPal. The average business person out there who's getting into this medium doesn't get PayPal. The older business person. I don't know why.
You mean to put it on their own site or to pay you with it?
They do not want to go and get a PayPal account.
You don't have to.
They can pay through the credit card now.
Right.
But they'll do that. That didn't used to be that way, but they'll use that. But they just, PayPal's got a bad taste in older folks. Not me. I like PayPal.
Well, I think it's that they don't want to create an account. That's fine. So you just let them pay with a credit card. Now, where that becomes a challenge is if you have a membership site with recurring, you can't have a WordPress membership site with recurring payments and allow them to pay PayPal for a credit card. They absolutely have to have a PayPal account for recurring payments. So in that case, you really, really, really have to do Stripe, which is why the account that I'm talking about right now, we're setting up the SSL and the Stripe. And then at that point, I don't even know if I will accept PayPal because Stripe is so much easier to deal with if you're dealing with recurring revenue in a membership site. PayPal is a pain. So
right. Stripe, I think overall will be the winning solution. I think it'll give PayPal a run for its money as it gets stronger and stronger because they've taken that. They're just traditional credit cards, basically.
I still keep PayPal because it's just so much easier to enter my, if I buy so much stuff online and it's so much easier, just click that button, enter my password, and it's DONE, done.
I use PayPal.
Looking for stuff.
Yeah, I use PayPal, but the other thing I'm going to too, one last thing since you're into this, what drives me nuts is when you buy something and they charge you the next year because you don't realize it was not, re-up when I don't want it.
Yes, I recommend if you're going to particularly, and actually that's an easy one to cancel in PayPal. If you do, it's harder to do on your credit card. You have to remember to go back. In PayPal, if you sign up for something that's a membership in PayPal, go in the next day and just cancel the recurrent one. You can do that, and it doesn't cancel everything. It just cancels that recurring, and then it's taken care of. You don't have to remember the next year. If you do it on the credit cards, you have to remember the next year, or if you do it on PayPal and leave it, you have to remember the next year. If you do it on the credit cards, you either have to do it, or I unfortunately, the last few years have had to change my credit card about once a year anyway because of credit card fraud. So then they can't do it again.
Bank of America, the only one little trick is Bank of America on their credit cards. There's a way you can generate a new credit card number for each online account and then put a dollar amount in that credit card for access that they can't go over a certain dollar amount. So you can move it down to like $5, and that's not enough for some of these sites.
Oh, then they can't do it.
Hey, Kim, thanks. I appreciate it. I know you have, what time are you going to come on now? How long until you go live? Put your link in.
10 minutes, 8 minutes.
Put your link in so people, if they want to go over, they can go live.
No, I'm not, because I will, no, because I haven't been able to get on to even tell if I'm having webinar problems yet. And I told you nobody signed up. So if you want today's webinar, just make sure that you're on, go to how to build an online course. Sign up there, and tomorrow you'll get the replay.
So I'll sign up. Anybody can sign up.
Anybody can sign up. Just go sign up actually for just that email list. And anybody that comes in today, I'll treat you just like for the webinar, and I'll email you out the webinar replay link, because as of right now, I'm not trusting that this thing's going to come up for me at 2:00. But I wasn't worried about it because my only 2 people told me they wouldn't watch it till tomorrow anyway.
By the way, I just put your FTC disclosure on there.
Oh, thank you.
I put mine. I just wanted folks to know. We talked about that earlier. I just saw it.
Yes.
I put mine up above. Everyone needs an FTC disclosure on their website somewhere. And we're working on those things. And that's stabilizing too, the requirements. There's different, who's in charge of what. But you have to disclose that you get a commission off if you have any affiliates anywhere on your site.
Yep. That's it.
So, well, thanks, Kim. If you can stay on if you want to, but I know you got your show coming up.
I've at least got to go tape it, even if it's not live. If I can't get on live, I've at least got to tape it so it's out for everybody tomorrow. So it's a deadline. And
I think the live webinar is a great thing to do. It's just like Blab, and get on it and do it and practice and get your slides up. You're not going to be perfect the first time. You got to do it, and do it 3 times a week, I'd say.
Oh, I do one every week. I have been doing webinars for a couple of years, not every week, but part of 2016 is consistency. But I've been doing webinars, and I will always keep doing webinars, not Blab, because one, I can keep them private, and Blab, I don't. And when I'm doing a screen share, I want the whole screen. There are ways to screen share in Blab now. They're coming out with that, but it still is like, my little square here is all that was shared. And when I'm doing a screencasting type training, I need the full screen to be able to share with people. Right. So I will always.
Jonathan and I'll be working on webinars this year for sure. We have to push that up forward.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot of webinars probably weekly this year. So I'm going to head over and either launch it or tape it, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.
I'm going to stay on for a little bit because I just want to talk about. So Rob. I know Rob is up right now. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. Rob, you're up. We put a couple of logos in there, folks. What do you think about the logos? That's one. You've got about 10 up there at the white one. I'm going to send you over my colors too, my blue colors. But you want to? There he is. Rob is up. Yeah, I think he's like having. I've never seen him off of Blab as long as he's been. Oh, that's nice. There's Rob. Split broadcasting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, fine. Where are you home?
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, I am. I'm on my laptop though. I didn't realize
that's fine.
I didn't realize I had XSplit on this laptop.
XSplit. So what kind of laptop are you using? What kind of PC?
This is a Lenovo.
Okay.
ThinkPad. Yeah. I can log in from my home computer if you want.
No, that's okay. Did you have a good? It's up to you. Did you have a good Christmas? Good, not Christmas, but New Year.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Hung out with some friends, and it was pretty low key. And then hung out and watched a lot of television with my daughter, so that was fun.
I had a lot of company. I had a Canadian Coast Guard officer stay yesterday and coming back for dinner tonight. One of friends of my son.
Okay.
My cousin's over, and they're all skiing today. Everyone's out skiing, so I'm getting some work done.
And good for you. I miss every time you talk about Truckee and Tahoe. I always think because I learned how to ski in Lake Tahoe. I learned the first. I was 7 years old. My dad took me to Kirkwood,
Well, I can mountaineer and cross country ski right in my front yard. I mean, there's enough snow for me to get down to we have a huge park and then trails. I'm a cross country skier now as I get older.
Okay. Yeah, I love it and miss it. I mean, I still ski, but obviously not obviously, but I haven't been on the West Coast in a long time.
Yeah, I'm a mountaineer guy. Hey, so Kim, I know we talked about format. Rod's been talking to me in the backside because he's the business guy. I'm the business guy, sort of some of the WordPress folks, but he's the real business guy, brick and mortar, running a business like I used to do. And he's drawing me back into that real world of business, which isn't all this online. You know, most of your business is still face to face.
Yep.
It's that traditional marketing and getting out there, but I think you need a little bit of both. And we're getting pretty good. You got to think that, look at the quality of my picture right now, 480, camera's not bad, color's not bad, and it's not overly expensive, right?
Yeah.
So what's that going to do to your business? I mean, as this new technology evolves, how will you still have that secure? So you provide a secure source.
I mean, I'm hopeful that it's going to be a boom for my business. Because I think the days of advertising dollars through Google and through the networks, is diminishing because people, I don't think, companies, car manufacturers and stuff like that, I mean, look at Red Bull. Red Bull is probably the best example. This is their freaking energy drink. But they've, from their humble beginnings of making an energy drink, they now have Red Bull TV. And, so they totally circumvent the traditional means of being able to take Red Bull energy drink ads and give it to CBS and NBC and ESPN, and they have their own network.
Yep. Oh, that's perfect. I know what you bring such good perspectives. The things that you bring, the outside sources, things you bring are tremendous. Like this Red Bull. How long have you been thinking about Red Bull and what they've done?
How long? Well, it doesn't really matter about how long I've been thinking about it. It's more relevant is the fact that they were the ones who did it. Right?
They spend some bucks too. Their helicopters, their support. They do a lot of promotionals out in the sports world. So you think they're making money off their TV?
I'm sure they're making money off their TV and their average. I mean, I don't know. They're privately held, I guess. So I can't comment on their profitability, but from the optics of it, they're doing pretty good.
So can you draw? You can't probably do it because you're not in your main computer, but can you drop in some of those logos, those 10 or 8 logos you dropped in there?
Yeah, let me log off of here and I'll log on in my home PC.
Okay. You come up and drop those logos in so we can look at them, get some votes.
I'm gonna hop off the camera here and I'll hop back on my laptop or my desktop.
I'm gonna go get some of my colors.
All right, hold on. Give me like 2 minutes.
Okay. While he's doing that, I'm gonna be dropping some colors in, folks. We're just chit chatting here. This is True Blab now. I'm gonna edit the front side of the show. Let me pause this so not catch it.
In DC this morning.
It's beautiful. It's
warmer than normal.
Oh yeah. Fortunately, because of global warming, we haven't had to worry about snow.
John, where physically did you say you were? Where are you? Are you in town?
Yeah, I'm in town over by the Pepperbill.
You asked me what the weather's like. You know what it's like. It's cold.
No, what I meant was Rob Hicks in DC.
Oh, yes.
What his weather's like. Because it's unseasonably warm, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's maybe in the mid-50s, sunshine. It's super nice.
So, Rob, are you going to drop in
this morning, Bill Conrad? It was 10 degrees, pal. 10.
Oh, I know it was cold last night. So, what did you what was the text for? You text me.
Yeah, I was trying to find out a name of somebody that you might not know at the CF show in Vegas next year, next week.
Okay, yeah, I'll get back with you on that.
Because you're going.
Rob, we want to look back in the logo.
My son wants to go down there, wants me to go down there. So if you got a contact, it helps. Just
I do. John Green. John Green down there. So
John Green, okay.
Yeah. So I want to get back to the show. We're going to get back on topic on design. So
sorry, Bill, to hijack, but
no, I thought that was cool because you texted me and I sent you the link and said come up and watch. Only on Blab. It's good. You realize how far
you're in the room right now. You got 10 or 4?
No, we just have a handful. We had 33 of 6 watching.
All right.
Saturday. Thanks, John.
All right. Talk to you later. Take care, Bob.
See you, John.
John, his son was in Afghanistan, same time I was. I met him. He was struggling with an online purse company. And I told him sort of like I said, just produce these purses and sell them locally. Don't worry about your online sales. Get your purses out there, get your models out, and go to your small little vendors. Because I sold all my custom homes through home and garden shows with my AutoCAD systems, face to face. I mean, then we can't forget that medium. And but this is new. It's so weird because you've been in the medium of broadcasting, of this medium for a long time.
Well, certainly the production. Yeah, I mean, not so much social media, but broadcasting. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just it's definitely different. And then there's jobs. There's production. Like I talked earlier, there's production, there's talent, there's editing, there's promotion and marketing. There's all those elements. So anyway, what are you doing? What are you doing the rest of the day?
Well, I'll keep you on topic, and that
I'm going to edit. I can get back to editing it shortly. I've got I'd say about 15 more minutes. I need to come back down. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you wanted to talk about branding, so okay. I don't have a dog in the race with regard to the colors. I mean, I think the reason that I came up with the orange was because I stole the color from the unified color for podcasters, which is the orange logo. So I used that orange to visually tell people that it was a form of a cast or a podcast. So that was the rationale. For right or for wrong, that's how I came up with the orange. It's not that I'm a fan of orange, but then I came up with two logos for you. So one is the icon that I've got here. Or wait, I guess I don't know where you see it. Yeah, that one. That one is nice and square because a lot of the formats like iTunes and apps look for that square icon. And timelines, because it's so linear and long. That was the origin. And then you've got this Timelines logo.
I like that.
Yeah,
the blue.
And then this one I set up so that when you have a guest, take that silhouette and it would be their profile picture from Twitter or whatever.
I like that.
And I don't know. Oh, so this is the one that I was hopeful that you would start using in the comment cards. So take a look at that cheat sheet that I sent you in those files, because
I think I used that today, didn't I? I can't remember.
Not this one. You actually used a smaller graphic one, which was fine. But you used the graphic that I would consider to be a comment card, which is a real tiny graphic, and inserted that into your show card. The only difference is the show cards are 1,000 by 450, so they're significantly higher resolution. And then I've got this kind of setup. So I think that was it for the graphics.
Yeah,
and these graphics are different than the side graphics. Like this one. I'm not adjusting it. I thought this was kind of cool. I don't know if it's readable.
Down below.
No. Yeah, exactly.
There, yeah. See, I like that. I like the blue with the orange and the black. Those are good colors. Probably need to go. I've got those two blues. I want to stick with those two blues, those standard colors. And I'll send you over a standard chart too that I have for spec chart, like I used to do. And everything needs to go that way. And the other thing, we're talking about graphics and design. What's equally important is your provider. Remember I talked about like Bluehost, SiteGround, or DigitalOcean. And right now, DigitalOcean is where my money side is, and it has a lot of potential, but it's a new area, and I think it's like jumping ahead too fast. So it's
the only thing that I keep thinking about, Bill, is I mean, I don't know anything about WordPress, and I don't know much about SEO. In fact, I probably learned about the term for the very first time over this past summer. So, I think a lot of the things that I value are maybe old school ideas in terms of brands and visualizations and and setting people's expectations. And I got to believe that those things remain in some ways more important.
In real estate, I'm 100% agree with real estate business. that there's a little bit of digital, but most realtors are trying to look for an easy out on the basic sales.
Well, I'm not talking, but I'm talking about basics. What I'm saying is like the brand, whether it's a logo or color or face, that needs to be imprinted everywhere, because that sets the viewer's expectation.
Right.
Like I thought it was one of the things I thought was weird is that you were doing a timeline show on a Saturday and you didn't do one yesterday.
No, it's holiday. It was a holiday.
Today's a Saturday.
Yeah, but
and your show is advertised as being weekdays.
Rayleigh's was closed. Their supermarket was closed. You know, it's Christmas.
But again, but all I'm saying is the basics is if you set people's expectations that that timelines of success is on weekdays, well, weekdays for most people would agree that it's Monday through Friday. So thus they would never look for a show on Saturday, but they would expect a show on yesterday. And for sure, you can get away with saying, "Oh well, we're not going to have a show."
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you about the mechanics real fast behind the scenes on evolving, and I've learned a lot of podcasters who sell podcasting training courses want you to get up and podcasting right away, and I don't believe that at all. I think what you do is you go on Blab, you go up onto YouTube, and you do about 10 shows. You get feedback from your friends. Then you do a real simple test for $5 on your RSS feed, and you create a podcast in iTunes and all those links. That's tough to do. And a lot of guys pod phase out of about 3 shows because it's just too much work. So I'm still in the testing process. I'm going backwards on my own show. I have one major RSS feed that I use. It's called Timelines, which I don't like. It's too long a name on the RSS feed. So I'm trying to line up a type of show. I do 9 shows. So the weekly, daily show, like, it's always going to be there on Timelines on that feed. So you got like your 5 days from the traditional Timeline show to today, a Saturday. I want some tech. I'm getting feedback from folks as they want to hear more about the tech side, like we're doing today. And the highest numbers are coming when we have people who have businesses in tech talking about more than just WordPress. And they also want to know about marketing, like you're talking about.
Well, that was one of the things that Jim mentioned yesterday is or 2 days ago when you did the interview with him. Is he's involved with a lot of podcasts, but some comment he said where it's like, but the best ones are the ones that I'm not even directly in. Mm-hmm. Meaning that he was managing and he was touching them, but he wasn't using his own personal time necessarily to drive them.
No, I may go down this year. I'm trying to teach other people how to do this around me. And I might like have Jonathan just try to pick up the whole kabang on the, on WordPress. And people have actually said, I want to pay you for editing. Well, that's not my business. I just do that. I do for a nonprofit. I'm so mad at this nonprofit right now. I've been doing work for 2 years for free. And with the understanding is they were going to have a guy go through training with me, a couple of training, and they're not really, they always fall back. Well, no one can do what you do. Yeah, they can. It's not
that
hard.
Writing, right?
Huh?
You got that in writing?
It's a nonprofit. I'm just going to, I'll maintain their website for them, but I'm not going to go over there and do a live stream for them anymore.
The best advice that I can give people in my observations with Blab and Periscope and social media is, if it's that important to you, get it in writing.
Oh yeah.
And if nothing else, but not to protect you just financially, but to protect even your relationship with the person.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you see a lot of these forums they're showing because people have ideas or expectations on the other person, but they're not properly set up. And then somebody interprets something to not be fair or unequal or whatever, and then things go sour. And it could have completely been avoided simply if people say, okay, well, let's do this show together, and I'll do this and you do that. And as expectations change, just put it on paper, because then it's easier for either of you or both of you to go back and say, well, Bill, on this, remember on this date you said this and I said this. Then there's a ledger of account.
Right.
But leaving things to an audible, oh, well, remember, I sent you a chat or I sent you a text.
I'll even go a step further. Break down the jobs to create a netcast. It's not podcasting. It's a netcast. Break down the jobs to do that. And there's a lot of jobs in there. You can do them all, but you have descriptions like one's the producer, the person who lines up the show, edits the show, outlines the show. There's the engineer, there's the talent, and then there's sort of the hybrid. It's the people who keep people on track. Mm-hmm. Now, I've got some pretty nice calls. The people who are on some of my podcasts who started on Blab, who never really understood podcasts, and I forced them into that model of doing a podcast. And once they started seeing podcasts, seeing the numbers, understood. But getting them to that point was tough towards Blab because they're thinking that live Blab audience. When I'm doing the when I'm doing the podcast portion, I don't care about the live audience. I do not. I lock it down. I don't care. I should, but I have to focus on that, what it's going to be on iTunes, what it's going to look like, sound like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of confusing, but what I'm saying, you should write down each of those job descriptions, and then just say, you're going to do this. Here's your job description. So you could do that ahead of time. You do this. You're going to do it. And it's better to have a team of people doing a show.
What's compelling you to drop in lastpass.com and republicanmensclub.org?
Oh, because we're talking about it. And the Republican Men's Club is that nonprofit I talked about. So when you go back in the notes, you can pick up these links if people look at them.
Got it.
If you look at the connections, and that's all. That's a lot of work. You got the Attorney General, you got congressmen, senators, everything I've done, and that's some of the net casting we've done. My idea was to teach people how to do that, not to do it for them. You got to remember, Nevada is behind California. Northern Nevada and Republicans in Nevada are going to get their butts kicked because they're not doing any social media.
So I thought it was funny when I mentioned Bitcoin. I didn't realize that you and Jonathan were both fans of it. So what? But I've already shown I've done one formal show, a Bitcoin show on Blab. But I think what excites me about Bitcoin is the ability to transfer value over video. And I've done that many times. By example, where I've given Bitcoin away to people here on Blab just with them taking their cell phone, aiming the QR code at the camera, and then I'll send them money. And it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I can, during the broadcast, I can, within seconds of me sending it, you get a confirmation email saying, yep, Rob Hicks just sent you X amount of dollars in Bitcoin.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. I saw you. I've watched the Bitcoin show and I've been interested. Now, how much Bitcoin do you own?
Some.
Like one? It's $400, $430 for Bitcoin right now. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, I've doubled. I bought some more Bitcoin back in the spring, and when it was like 215, so that's more than doubled in value. Yeah, I mean, I'm not all in for anything. I kind of I'm pretty consistent in my life philosophy of an all of the above approach. So, you have some guns, you have some gold, you have some Bitcoin, you have some cash, you have some of everything, right? You have some credit cards, and, as long as you've got some of everything, you'll never be out of solutions.
Right. Hey, Paul, what's up?
Hey, just jumping in here. I'll something hits on some.
If sound disappear?
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Hello, test 1 2 3. Hello, 1 2 3.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Paul.
Okay.
By the way, thanks, Paul, for coming on. And I meant to say, with John Zeller, it was neat with him coming up too. I just sent a link on a text to him to bring him up.
Okay.
So it's nice. So I know you've got all those websites, right? Maybe you could come into my support the concept of keeping those websites up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You don't want that website to go away, Rob. That, as much as you think I'm messing up on my branding, letting a website go you don't understand the power of holding that website up there.
Or just clean it up, or set people's expectations that, hey, this isn't, this website is a legacy. So, I don't know. I think that if I went to a website and it was advertising Netscape, I'd be like, why is this even, still on the internet?
See, I know how many people look at this one. This is just a holding site right here. That's what I need to sort of work on slowly. It's fun. It's live. It's getting SEO by being live, and it builds up. That's just testing. You test stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all testing. And it's just words up there that's grabbing search. It can, you'd see what you don't know is I know my main pages where everything feeds into. And sometimes this page right here might feed 2 or 3 people into Netcasting 101 a day, that page by itself. So it's a feeder to that page. And someday it'll break off and maybe I'll run for office and it'll be a political site and it'll be well established. I've already run for office once or twice and won. So that's that side. But I agree with the branding. I mean, I came from old school in branding. It's important. But and you got to lock down your brands. You got to get them to all work, and that's why you have marketing firms too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pay big
when you can afford them.
Yeah. So it's but you've jumped on this Blab. How did you find Blab? I'm going to see how long you've been on Blab, by the way. You know how you do that?
Yeah, you go to their site and hover over.
I'm going to your site right now, right? And you've been on Blab 59 days. I've been on Blab 126 days, or something like that. And you've really jumped onto this Blab. How did you learn about Blab? See,
you asking me, or you asking Paul?
No, you, Rob. I'll ask Paul too.
Yeah, I found out about Blab by watching Periscope, and people kept saying, "Oh, you know, in addition to Periscope, I do Blab," and I kept hearing it over and over again. And I checked it out, and you know, for me, I think my attraction is unique because it mirrors my day job in terms of video conferencing. Because Blab is social video conferencing, so that was my hook to it.
Now, Paul, you've been on 9 days. I thought you'd been on longer than that.
That long? I didn't think I'd been on that long. It feels like I was on yesterday.
So what do you think of Blab? You're 9 days. You're a newbie still.
Yeah, I'm a newbie. It's outstanding. I think it's civilized. It's intelligent. There's intelligent people here. It may be a little top heavy on the multi-level marketing or SEO front, but that's okay. And I like it. It's great. It's a great platform. It's just anything that fosters intelligent discourse is worthwhile, and this certainly does that.
Mm-hmm. I was a weird thing last night. I was kind of creeped out. There was a Blab discussion. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on this Second Amendment and concealed carry versus open carry. What do you think? And
I saw that. I was on that.
So did you see it when? So that, you know, the guy had what I would expect as a stereotype visual. So he has, you know, the full American flag behind him, talking, redneck hat, microphone.
Yeah.
And you know, for sure, I'm talking in a huge thick brush, but I was kind of freaked out because, you know, one guy comes in and he's like, "Well, this is what I use every day." He whips out a buck knife, and then, you know, the other guy that was hosting the show was like, "Oh yeah, that's nothing," and he whips out his AK or AK-47, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gone," because I don't want to be any. I don't know. For me, and I love guns and own plenty of them, but for me, just visually, that was kind of like, wow, this is getting freaky. I'm going.
Those guys were strange, you know, and none of them I had ever followed or befriended. I should have checked how long they were on Blab. And the one guy wasn't even there in the microphone. One had the Marine Corps flag, and the other guy had the American flag. But that stereotype hurts the Second Amendment, hurts people like me. And I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm a lifelong member of the NRA. You may not know that. And my son went through hunter safety when he was 12 years old.
Well, I think it's like you just said. I mean, it doesn't do. They were out. They visually looked like the stereotype.
Yeah, like Nick Hernandez said, "Hey, you know what? I got to talk to you. Talk about stereotype. We're going to
were like stereotype city yesterday. It was like the beginning of the open carry law in Texas yesterday, and it was jam packed with people. You know, double holsters with, you know, open carry." Embroidery on their holsters, and it was just a field day for open carry in Texas down at our state capitol yesterday.
Is that where you're at, Paul? Is in Texas?
Austin, yeah, this capital city.
I love Austin.
We're gonna switch into politics for the next 10 minutes because Rob is here, and Nick Hernandez called me last night, and I listened to him, and I wish he'd come up on Blab more. We're going to be on Sunday night at Meet the Voter. But I'm also going to come at 9 o'clock because we're used to come at night, and I've invited for 9 o'clock. It's not an iTunes version, but it's just to bring people in the morning in on the technical aspects of getting elected. But Nick called me and he said, "Oh, Ben Carson's, he's failing. He's doing all this. It's terrible what he's done." Ben Carson. Then I said, "Okay, I just listened to Nick." Then I did a little research before I went to bed on my laptop last night. Ben Carson did the right thing. He got rid of the failing staff he had, and he's brought in a 2-star general, retired, who has all the credentials to work on national security and foreign policy to lead his campaign. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
He knows which way the wind is blowing.
But he let go all of his other people around him. I don't know how ever he got to where he was with the people he had around him. I look at whether Republican, Democrat, or in between, I look at the staff for my first place to research what kind of campaign they're running.
What about Trump? What kind of staff does he have?
Who?
Trump. What kind of staff does he have?
Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter. There's some reasons I won't go in that here, but Trump is running the best campaign you can run in my book. Here's what he's doing. I teach this even for local elections. I've had a lot of people elected in my older day. I did this almost for a hobby. Love to do it. Is you don't spend much money initially on your campaign. You save. You keep your staff extremely small in your campaign, because a staff can screw your campaign in two ways. One, spend too much money. And three, just argue among themselves. So you want a really small staff of just a few people. Now, then you have a volunteer staff, and you have to have some separation between the candidates and the volunteer staff. So Trump has run a very inexpensive campaign. Bush, on the other hand, has run just the opposite. Bush has run the absolute worst campaign you can run. If you look at his campaign, his staff, and his people. Jeb Bush has run a pathetic campaign. And I don't blame it. It's the people around him. He's got the Carl Rhodes, and his consultants are just not with the time. So the best campaign, I think, has been run by Trump. Now, that maybe his message isn't the best, but his mechanics behind the scenes, he's hired their very best people, and he's kept his staff very small. So what he's done is he's not wasted any money on his campaign, and he's got a message out. He's got a couple of researchers and one man, and that's about it. That's his campaign. It's small. It's scheduled maybe 5 or 6 people. Bush, on the other hand, has these huge organizations. Now, as they go into the primaries, what he's going to do is, now he's got the money. That's where you start spending your money, and you can gin up your. You want to have momentum. So some of these guys who start 2 years out, 3 years out campaigning or spending a lot of money, they don't have any money. So the last 6 weeks, 2 weeks before the voting material comes out, it comes out 30 days ahead of time. That's when your campaign starts kicking in.
Any predictions on how it's gonna play out?
I Meet the Voter. My predictions out there all the time. My 2 big predictions is long term. This doesn't have to do with the politics, but if you go and Meet the Voter, the big one is Hillary Clinton will not be the nominee for the Democrats. She's got an FBI investigation out there. I worked in that area for 5 years when I went back to the military and the state and the feds, and there's too many people in the FBI and that report's going to come out whether she's indicted or not. If she's indicted, it's over. Even if she's not indicted, all that information is going to become public. Probably people below her on her staff at the State Department will go to jail for bridging classified. So a lot of nasty things are going to happen. It's funny. The State Department field people don't understand that even. You have to get into the core. The State Department overseas was using our systems for their systems and security issues. The State Department, they don't get their butts kicked like we do in the military if we do anything wrong with our security clearance. So, but Hillary did 2 things that are really, really bad for the American people. She violated FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Now, that doesn't put you in jail, but it sure is a terrible thing to do to the American public. That's against the law to hide stuff. If you work for the government, anything that's non-classified belongs to the people, not to you. That's one of the basic principles of everything. There's nothing as a private conversation among government people anymore, unless it's classified, deemed for the protection of the nation.
But the Clintons have been barraged with these scandals for years and years, and it just seems to roll off their backs like water off a duck,
Well, unless they don't, but that they have to have top cover. Now, that said, I thought Biden for sure would run because President Obama probably understood what I just said. But that secondly said, if you look at President Obama's cabinet, they had a cybersecurity officer somewhere should have been checking all the cabinet members. And so Obama failed too from that cybersecurity standpoint of not catching this themselves. The FBI caught it. Or no, I forgot how it got caught. I forgot how she got caught. But the FBI had to take over that investigation as soon as any time you have challenges. Look at Petraeus. Petraeus got in trouble for security issues. I mean, he could have gone to jail. He's on probation right now. He has a little tiny book that he carried. I used to carry those books too, and I destroyed most of my books because if there's any classified or associated classified with those, and they were great books, they're like journals. You have to be very careful with your journal. And where you go, what you do, it can become a classified document. And that's what he got in trouble for one of his field books. I have an exact same field book. So Hillary's not going to be elected. That's my first one. And on the Republican side, gosh darn, I don't know who's going to make it. I think Trump might make it. I don't want him to make it, but he might make it. Now, I'm not an establishment person at all. I'm more libertarian, but the libertarians aren't going to take it over.
Well, everybody's counting him out. They keep counting him out, but he keeps on gaining.
No, don't count him out. The American public, I'm around a lot of Republicans, and Republicans, my wife left the Republican Party. They're so torqued off at the Republican centrist. I had a really good article, which I can look it back up, from the PhD who is running the debates. And he gave a good analysis of what is happening. And what he said, I'm going to summarize it. He said, over the last 25 years, the center has brought us, we've had sex scandals in the White House. We've had a meltdown with the banking system, a meltdown in housing. And these are all centrist and special interest, and then overspending in budgets. And this is all done by the center. And he said the center, which is controlled by the same special interest, the center special interest, the one, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble, the one who deal with a lot of money, a lot of business, a lot of big business, not the right and the left, but the center has brought this chaos to our government, both Republicans and Democrats. The Democrats have led us into more socialism, more big government, and the Republicans have been clapping the whole way in funding those programs without fighting. The center, which controls government. So he said, because of that, people are just irate and upset right now. Obamacare, they're still upset about, a lot of folks. And they see the Republicans not doing anything. So a lot of Republicans have left the party. So I think the Republicans might have problems if they don't bring these folks back in the party, getting someone elected. So that's a big, long story, but it's going to be a crazy election. Plus, on a presidential year, you're going to have a younger voter come out, which will lean more towards the Democrats and social media. And the Republicans are definitely losing out. Trump's the only one that's sort of doing it right on the social media side.
Yeah, I would agree. Hey, guys, I got to cut out. I just want.
Hey, Rob, good seeing you. Have a good day. I'll be.
Hey, Rob. Sorry I didn't get to talk to you more, man. You're an interesting guy, and I'd like to chat with you more down the line.
Yeah, I'd like that too. I'd even like to come down and visit you, since Austin's one of my favorite places. I really.
Sure, come visit us. We'll be happy to throw you in a spare bedroom down here.
Nice.
Where are you, Paul? Where are you calling from?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, Austin. Okay. Yeah. How's the weather?
Weather is kind of cool. It's nice though. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, good.
It's slightly cool weather.
10 degrees here in Reno, 5,000 feet.
Not that cool.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Hey, Rob, I'll come up on your shows. I just need to make sure I know when you're up, and I'll send you some stats. And one thing I want to do during the weekdays, I'm going to start tomorrow, right? Start tomorrow. It's like a diet. I want to, I start my show at 9. By 10:30, I need to cut down blab and edit and be done by, and have up in iTunes by 11:15 so I can get on with my work.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm going to take off too. Thanks, Paul.
Great show, Bill. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
All right. Take care.
Hey, thanks for putting your website. Paul, one last thing. I love what you did. You put all your websites over here. So did you have a copy of those down on a clipboard somewhere and just drop them in?
No, I just went on the command line on my server and went in the directory where they're all are and did a copy and paste.
Let's see if I looked at what, and I'm going to hit you. I just got a shock off of that. I got to reboot this. How long have you been in this website business?
Since I was a student at the University of Illinois, where they're developing the first browser.
How are you monetizing these? I see plus this.
I'm not doing a very good job because right now most of my money comes from Social Security and my rental business, which is booming here in Austin because the real estate market is just exploding here. So flipping condos and rentals are my main source. So I've been kind of neglecting the web business, but now that the rental business is kind of stable and my wife and I have figured out this Social Security thing, I think we're going to put some energy into the web business and monetization. That's why I'm real excited about discovering Blab, because there's so many resources on here. I'm going to start paying attention here.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm probably doing a little too much on Blab, to tell the truth. I need to cut back and be more of just watching and listening in the background and working. No, I like your pages. You've been doing, man, that's a lot of, they're all coded. Are they dynamic? No, they're not responsive. Excuse me. Those aren't. You need to go to responsive. Have you ever used WordPress?
Yeah, all these are WordPress, just about.
These are WordPress, really?
All of them, yeah.
Wow, that's their old WordPress. That's for sure. Models.
And the whole thing is like something that's been sitting kind of on the back burner, being neglected, but I'm about ready to do a thorough review and upgrade of all these sites. And right now they're in a total state of disarray. I need to buff all of them up and get a decent theme going and figure out a way to manage multiple sites better.
Yeah, I use WordPress.org on WordPress to actually to monitor my sites. It's a good solution until you start making bigger money. So here's Mike. Mike, you can't get me. You guys are doing this to me. Mike is. I was going to have you come on earlier. You won't believe this. If I touch this, I get a shock today.
You need to ground it. You need to maybe put a wire on it and ground it to something.
I've never had a shock off it though. It's weird.
No, Bill, I was going to give you a call, but I thought since you weren't talking and trying to get off here, you'd mentioned, what was it, a meetup group? Is it an online?
No, I have a meetup group here in Reno. Real
physical
people.
One. Okay.
I'm getting rid of it. 600 people.
That's a knee-to-knee one.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of that one.
Holy cow. Okay.
Get rid of 125 on WordPress too.
All right, because I thought it was when I heard that number, I didn't know if that was an online one or a needed.
I sold 8 courses. It's meetup.com. Let me pull it up. Show you. I'm going to tell you what the actual number is. Meetup.com. That's going to give it out. I mean, I'm focused. Problem with meetups is I'm trying to get people who have money, who are smart, get stuff done, but understand the digital world. And there's a lot of people in between. And most of the meetup people, I got 7 jobs for building WordPress sites off of the meetup. That's not how I'm going to make my living.
Well, and that's what I was on with, maybe I was talking with Rob. It was somebody. We were talking about just the physical events, and when you and I put myself kind of in that mid range as far as understanding this. But if you're the smartest guy in the room on this, you need to find another room. So
yeah, that's the problem is with the meetups. It's not. I'm going to go to someone else's WordPress. We're doing a big WordPress group, and there's only about 2 people in that WordPress group who have any skill sets.
No, that's fine. I just wanted it. I thought it was an online one, so I said, hey, there might be some value in jumping in there. But since it's a knee-to-knee one, I think I'm too far away to
no, here's my link. Here's my link right here. I'm trying to figure out how many people are in it right now.
Where are you? Kansas or Kansas City or something?
Who, me?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. I'm in Ohio.
Okay, I saw the K on your.
That's Kent. That's Kent State University.
Kent State. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the problem with this also the entrepreneurs group, it was more MLM.
Well, you're always gonna.
Nothing wrong with MLM. It's 561 people right now.
Okay.
And it's not that expensive to maintain, but I'm going to let it go. I think.
No. That's what I said. It didn't make sense. I thought it was an online.
Now here's one I like. This is one I've gone to 162 here. This is a good group here. It's called the Reno WordPress Business Users Group. I'm going to stick that in there. Maybe I'll just keep that one. I'm just looking at, I'm trying to cut. You can spend a lot of money on your online stuff. These little things add up everywhere. And this costs $140 a year to maintain these sites.
No, because I was on, and you've probably seen her. What is her name? She's kind of promotes doing collaborations and mastermind groups. And we were talking about, maybe that's who I was talking to, and I've never really had a true one because maybe it's just they ended up being more of a networking event than a mastermind. So
yeah, I agree with what you're saying. A mastermind group I think is 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
And helping each other. It can't get much bigger than that because it gets out of control. I think you can have separate little masterminds, like 3 people in a specialty talking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this does. What we're doing right here. Yeah. Like Rob has really helped me out. But here's another thing that gets me is sometimes I've run a traditional bricks and mortar construction company and real estate company. I know what it takes. But sometimes this new digital world is different. It's hard to explain it. Like, the digital world is hard to break into. What we're doing now. You've done it. Digital online sales and marketing, you're doing it, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of time, a lot of persistence.
Yeah. But it's a tough one to crack, isn't it? But when you crack it, it works.
Now, speaking of Rob, like if when I don't know if you saw that when you click the post on Facebook, your timeline that Rob made shows up, and it's really neat.
Let me look on Facebook. I haven't looked at that yet.
The
And
orange,
the social media.
orange logo timelines that Rob made.
I consider you better than me on social media, by the way.
Well,
No, I do. I consider you a lot better than me. Oh, there's my son's new girlfriend. That's the first thing I'm seeing on timeline. My co-star. So I just went on timeline. Went to my personal site. So where is it on the business site?
well, no. When I was on here, and we were sharing on Twitter and sharing on Facebook, and so if I share that, let me
Drop it in.
When I click it, and I click post to.
I see a thing of beer from you from Ronald Reagan at the bottom.
Yeah, did you like that?
Yeah, I'll go to your site and look at it.
But when like it said here, told his
is,
friends on Facebook. Well, what I'm seeing on Facebook is the logo that Rob made. So it's
now I really like. I'll drop this in. I really like that black and white. I like the black and orange. That's what I used to have.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to move to blue because of the federal standards and the colors. I think blue and white is.
Here's the other thing too, which I'm looking at it now. Could there be a problem having the Blab logo on there? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You don't want to put someone else's logo on there. I didn't even think about that. You want your own logo. I have a little burst. Maybe we could put our burst on there, but it doesn't mean anything but to my folks.
But anyways, yeah. So he may have to tweak that. But I said the other thing is it's clean. It looks nice when people are posting on the Facebook based on what's showing up.
Now, another thing, if you go look at Blab, they've got a couple different, this is the dimensions that they put out. It's 11 something by 4 or something like that. But if you go to Blab, they've got different frames, like little frames, and some of the frames are different. So you want to put what you call on your logo I think you want to put padding. It means not go out to the edges. You want to bring it in so you can see at different frames that whole logo.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at Blab, that will be cut off, I think, on part of the frames. And this is all new. Hey, the other thing, we're sort of finishing up. We're starting 216, but I hope Blab stays around. Something like it will stay around, but they've got to monetize. They've got to make money. This costs a lot of money to do what they're doing.
But didn't you say once?
A lot of bandwidth.
Didn't you say once too, Bill? I mean, Blab was looking at a 3 or 4 year period that they weren't concerned about making money. So,
well, I've heard that.
Yeah,
but that there's a company that may be going down that's big into podcasting, and it's been around a little over a year. I'm not going to mention the name, but a lot of people went with their feeds and their sites, and they may be going down right now. And they started charging $50 a month. They were free for a long time.
Well, we'll see. But anyways, I knew you were signing off here. I said I caught that earlier in the show. I didn't want to disrupt the show, and then I had to step away. But because I said, hey, if it's an online group, I said there might be some value. But no, you said it's knee to knee. So that's a large knee to knee group. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but is
it the right people? So that's also
it's the quality of the people and the time it takes, and what's most profitable in the relationships.
Right,
I mean, I've got my wife real estate listings to be fine,
but I do want to talk to you about doing a Blab with real estate, insurance, and law. So we need to talk about that.
Yeah. You know what? That sounds good to me. Jonathan's got the Mailright Real Estate Show. And I'd like to see him produce that himself, and maybe I'll come on it from time to time, but I need to get out of that production. Jonathan, I want to stick with WP Tonic with him. That's a good show. But I have a real estate company, and I've watched these tech guys trying to get into real estate, and initially they know nothing. Jonathan knows a lot now. And then it's nice to get their perspectives, what they see from, what real estate needs to do. But that's a hard nut to crack in the real estate business. Real estate's still a relationship business.
Well, I'm looking at one more for knowledge, for content, for the person on the street. To understand about getting a mortgage, how to shop for a home, how to shop for a realtor. And then on the insurance side, and then on the law side, because it's like a 3-legged stool.
Well, I'm your prime candidate, Bill, for real estate, because here I am, a tech guy. I've been in tech in Austin forever. I've been moderately successful with these trailer RV rentals and building small homes. And now I've got a group of venture capitalists and investors from Austin approaching me saying, hey, we want to put 21 tiny homes on your 15 acres.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm presented with a huge challenge right now. How the hell am I going to pull this off,
I used to do
How am I
that.
gonna
I
get
used to
it?
approach people about doing that in the process. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you option money. I'm going to say, give me the rights to develop this and buy your property for so much an acre for 2 years. I'm going to go in now. I'm going to do all the engineering. I'm going to go to City Hall. I'm going to get all the, and then California is a tough place. I'm going to get all my vesting that gives me paper lots, and I'm going to spend a lot of money, but now you have to sell it to me. So that lot, I just bought these for $25,000 an acre. And maybe once I get that vesting, it's worth $100,000 an acre. But you didn't spend the time and the money to go get that vesting, which took me 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And then sometimes I might not be able to get the vesting.
This is the Wild West. We don't have permits. We don't have inspections.
Yeah.
We're in an area outside of any jurisdiction, and they're not going to do lots. They're not going to divide up land. They're going to do what's called fractional ownership, which is the rural equivalent of what you do in a condo in a city.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have people living in these tiny homes who own all the land, have rights to all the land, but they don't own a defined piece of land, with boundaries.
Yeah, I'd like to do a show like that. I could get into doing that, the development show, develop land. And I know people around here, and it varies from state to state, and get people from different states to take how do you do this? How do you take a piece of land and build houses and make money and develop? And I was on the city council for 6 years. I was chairman of, as I worked myself up in chairs, I was chairman of housing and communities and housing. So, hey, I'm going to run.
Okay. Well, anyways, we need to talk about that and see if it makes sense. So,
Mike, keep me on track for my weekly show, daily show, to make sure I get off Blab by 10:30.
Yeah. All right.
And produce the podcast fast, then talk for 45 minutes and off, and then go back and edit it. So at 11:30 I'm done. Then I can work on my money making side.
Deal.
I like this too much. I like the Blab too much.
Yep.
Keep me in mind for your real estate show. I'll be your non-expert case study.
Hey, before we go, this is money. I just put a link in there, KarenConrad.com. I just did that yesterday. And I talked to a guy who's a big digital guy, but he doesn't understand real estate. We'd make $15,000 to $30,000 a year just off our referral business. So what I did is I put digital now. And when I had our bigger real estate office in California, and we had an office over there, a physical bricks and mortar office for almost 20 years. And it's not as bricks and mortar anymore. But I just put a thing in there. So if you know anybody moving across the country or across the street and they don't have a realtor already, I even say that, let us find some CCRSs and give you a couple names. And you don't have to use them, but that's all I'm trying to do. So I started that service. If you look at those, if you get a chance to open those up, I just did that. And this is my wife's blog site. It's not it's just a blog site. But I'm going to start pushing that as a way, and I'm going to put a commercial in the show, actually.
Well, that's what I was, looking towards with the program is ways that the main people can benefit, and we can bring in guests, and then figure out ways that attorneys can make some money, real estate people can make some money, insurance people can make some money. And we're just sharing content and being a source of value. And
let's not put it on iTunes.
No, I'd be content just keeping it on Blab. I mean,
I'll do a show like that as long as it's not up on iTunes.
No, I've never even listened to a show on iTunes, so I wouldn't even know how.
Well, you guys start doing that. My shows are actually pretty good. Have you ever listened to one of my feeds on like feed? Here, let's do this really fast. Timelines. I hate my name timelines. It says. But Kim is up right now, but go down to Jim Collison. And when you get done here, just hit that little link. That's an RSS feed, and that's podcast. That's an iTunes. That's an RSS feed. And let me give another one too. Watch this. This will really drive you nuts. This is something new I just came into. Watch this. I just hit the second link. This is nasty, the second link. That's an automatic RSS feed opening with all my old shows. See that? So I'm trying to get this. I can hear you. Can you hear me when I did it?
So I heard it. I didn't know if that was.
Those shows are actually highly tuned and pretty.
Well, it was at 4:30.
So, hey, I'm going to run.
Okay, I'll see you guys. See you, Paul.
So now you've listened to an iTunes link. That's an RSS feed.
All right.
Great to meet you, Mike. Great show, Bill.
All right, Paul. Thank you.
We'll talk to you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Horns.